Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. For the first time since '89, Michigan is the NCAA tournament champion. Wolverines beat UConn last night 69-63 in Indianapolis. Elliot Cadeau led all scorers with 19 points. Michigan's guard was named MVP for that performance. The Wolverines have the second best odds to repeat in 2027. Duke's the favorite for next season. Ohio State's odds are significantly longer. The Buckeyes are losing at least 4 players to the transfer portal as it's open today through April 20th. Gabe Cupps, Colin White, Tayson Chapman, and Devin Royal. Junie Mobley will enter his name into the NBA draft process, but has committed to return next season. In other news, North Carolina will reportedly hire former Nuggets head coach Mike Malone. Malone spent 10 years in Denver, winning the NBA title in 2023. In the association last night, the Grizzlies had an NBA record 29 three-pointers made, but lost to the Cavs 142-126. This update sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union, voted best local credit union for the last 8 years by CBUS Top Picks, bmifcu.org.
Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
I'm talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy, Austin Ward. My good buddy, Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery is joining us.
Hi, everybody. Tom Tiberi here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah,
and then
it's a rundown.
And then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only 2 guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
All right, let's do it live on a Tuesday edition of the program. Bo, the boys with you for the next 3. We'll hit the real truth coming up at 10 o'clock. Will the Big Ten win a men's basketball and another football championship before the SEC wins either? 10:30, Dami dropping by, and 11:30, Porty checks in. Must win? I think we can say that. Must win for the Blue Jackets tonight. They're in Detroit against the Wings. Be curious to see what Bones does with that lineup tonight, as we were potentially thinking some wholesale changes could come. Speaking of wholesale changes, the last time Michigan won a national championship in the 2 big sports, on that same night, Ohio State football landed Quinshon Judkins. And in the weeks that followed, you had this assembling of Avengers, if you will, that happened in regard to Caleb Downs and Julian Sayin, and all of this talent came in. It wasn't quantity, it was quality. They went big game hunting and they landed all of it. And I do think they were in part inspired, or mostly inspired, by what Michigan had just done, the off-field stuff, and then, of course, the fact that it culminated with an undefeated season. You had to watch them win a national championship, and a title that a lot of people around here thinks a little bit tainted. And you had to watch it. And that led to we had that rant in February of that year that this was Ohio State taking its other fist out from behind its back and fighting with 2 fists forward and showing the might of a Buckeye football nation. I'm not going to come on here and compare basketball to football. It's not the same. It's not the same. With the exception, I think, to Bake and a few others. I don't even know if there is a hatred or dislike for Michigan basketball in the vicinity that there is for Michigan football. I mean, hell, we had Scooney Penn on yesterday, and he was hoping that Michigan would win because the Big Ten would then win a national championship. So there is some of that conference pride stuff for people who played in the game. And I know that there are many of you out there who you watch them cut down the nets last night and you want to throw up, you want to get sick, all of those things. I get it. There's a faction of you that. But I think you can all agree, even if you are someone who believes that it doesn't hit quite the way that it hits in football. What I am curious about is if what happened last night inspires a Quinshon-type moment from the Ohio State basketball program. Will this be the catalyst for, well, we want to do that too? And then the question would be, well, how badly do you want to do it? And the you that I'm talking to, unfortunately, because of where we are in the sport, is the booster faction at Ohio State. Because the Quinshon moment for basketball, what does Ohio State need in this portal? They need a shot blocker, and they need a dude point guard. Yep. Those are the 2 things they need in the portal. And most people in the portal view it as, if you want to use buckets or tiers, there's tier 1 players, bucket 1 players, and there's bucket 2 players. So the schools that are in the bucket 1, tier 1 big game hunting, they are paying a premium for players. So the Buckeye basketball version of a tier 1 Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Downs, Julian Sayin moment would be if Ohio State signed Flory Badunga. Now, if you don't know who Flory Badunga is, don't worry about it. Not saying you would unless you're watching a lot of Big 12 basketball. I watched a lot of Big 12 basketball this year, and I saw the kid play in person on senior night down in Lawrence. He played at Kansas last year. He played 2 years at Kansas. He was the Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12 Conference. He was a first-team All-Big 12 player this year. He was one of the most important players on their team, save for Darren Peterson. He would have been number 2 in terms of what he was. Hell, Beamsy bought his jersey. Flory Badunga entered the portal last week. I mean, today he officially can, but he let it be known that he could enter the portal this week. If you go on 24/7 Sports right now, he's crystal balled to Texas Tech. 100%. Going to Texas Tech. They backed up a Brinks truck, and they got him. So you're not going to get him. But will this inspire a moment? Will this inspire the type of spending spree that is required to play at this level? Michigan had a roster last night entirely made up in the starting 5, at least, of transfers.
That had never been done.
Game. Never been. No. But Reese, it's going to be done again.
Oh,
I mean, it's going to be done
the
again.
way.
Yeah, and Lindeberg was the number 1 player in the portal. I mean, he said it. Kentucky refuted it, but that he turned down $9 million to play at Kentucky. Well, he made several million playing at Michigan last year. Do you want that, Buckeye Nation? Buckeye big money boosters? Do you want that? If you want it, it's just pretty simple. Everybody has a price. What's your price? And there's what ifs to all of this in terms of, could you have hired this guy? Would this have led to this? If you hired Dusty May 2 years ago, are you cutting down the nets last night? Who knows? Who knows? Because I don't know if you had the same financial investment that Michigan had in basketball. I don't know that. But that's what I'm interested in last night. We'll get to the game, and it was fun for some, probably. It was a competitive game. But is this the catalyst? Could it be the catalyst for Buckeye basketball being in the Tier 1 business and saying, we want that too? I'm doubtful.
Yeah, I'm sure hopeful. Because when you bring up the Quinshon moment, I'm like, well, Ohio State could really use Wisconsin's John Blackwell. He's also in the portal, but he's one of, if not the best player available at that position. And
yeah.
The first thing I saw was Duke in on him. Like, well, because everybody would have been in on Quinshon Judkins. Like, are you kidding me? Like one of the best offensive players in the SEC at his time at Ole Miss. Like, every single school would have loved to have them on the roster. I just don't see it right now from this program, from the boosters that support it, even from the fan base that expects anything like that to happen right now.
The one thing we know, good, bad, or indifferent, this Ohio State roster is going to look a lot different next year.
They need an associate. They need an assistant head coach. They need a general manager.
Well, and you need players. You got to fill out your roster because you've got Junie Mobley, if he doesn't hear what he wants from the NBA, which I don't think most of us think that. Amari Bynum, Anthony Thompson, Alex Smith. And you've already got 4 guys that have said they're in the transfer portal. Who knows? With some of these other guys and these other guys outside of Ivan Yagovin, you haven't seen play on the court for Ohio State. So you've got to hit the transfer portal in one way or the other. Is it going to be swinging big? I think they might take one big swing in this transfer portal, but I think for the most part, you're probably just going to get depth guys.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. And what you just described at Ohio State, that's happening everywhere. And the only reason I know this is because we were down there and Bootsy and Beamsy follows everything Kansas does. Their entire team went in the portal.
Look at
their entire team, all their depth, all their bigs, guys who they recruited, developed. This is Kansas basketball. The entire roster's in the portal.
Look at the Tennessee women's basketball team.
They've got one player.
They have one player. That is Tennessee and UConn, in my lifetime, were the women's basketball programs of record. They have one player right now.
So thanks to Phil for pointing this out in the YouTube chat. Devin Royal right now on 24/7 has one transfer prediction. He's being crystal balled to UConn at 100%.
I don't even, the Royal thing, we talked about that. That doesn't bug me. I think that is an amicable divorce for all sides. That he was now in the old
but
school
won't you have
days,
a little Roddy Gale feel to it?
Sure. But he also he plays the same position as Bynum and Thompson. So there's no real reason, and you're going to play those two a lot. So it's a minutes conversation, it's a monetary conversation, right? And he's might be worth more to UConn, as crazy as that sounds, than he is here because of the circumstances around the roster construction here.
And here's the thing. Just like Roddy Gale, he's going to be the seventh option. Here he had to be 1, 2, or 3. Like Roddy Gale played some valuable minutes for Michigan, and nothing made me happier than him missing free throws at the end of that game and not playing well at the end. But I don't know. Like, I don't know what the comparison is, but Devin Royal is going to go to UConn, and he's going to be a depth piece. He's going to be a bench player. He's not going to be relied on like he was here at Ohio State.
Yeah, and even if he goes there and he starts or whatever, like there was just no room for him here. And that's look at all these guys are going to test the water on all of this stuff because that's the smart business thing to do. Like if I was representing Flory Badunga, I'd be doing the same thing. Not sure I would be signing up to go to Lubbock versus Kansas. Like if Kansas is getting vicinity, I'd probably stick. But at the same time, like I get it. He's a 6'9", 220-pound 5. There is no future for that in the NBA. He can't really shoot it. He's a shot blocker, defensive specialist in college, the most money, and Devin Royal's in the exact same boat. He's not the talent Badunga is, but he's in the exact same boat. He has to maximize the money he can make right now. My question to you is, did what Michigan did last night, does it inspire a basketball two-fist forwards approach the way that we saw in football a couple of years ago? That's the question. If it does, then you can cut down nets. Because this isn't the old days where it's like, well, we don't have the atmosphere and we don't have the coach and we don't have, coaching still matters a lot. Look at Danny Hurley. But so too does talent acquisition. Talent acquisition means a lot. You are a personalities manager more than you are a recruiter these days. The recruiting is pretty simple. Will you pay the most? If you'll pay the most, you'll get the guys. But then can you manage those personalities? Dusty May, Dan Hurley did that at a masterclass level. And it manifested in a national championship for Michigan, which is a tough pill to swallow around here. Off and running on a Tuesday. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Tired of snoring? Dr. Mark Levy can help with a custom mouthpiece that opens your airway and stops the snoring. No mask, no noise. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit sleepbettercolumbus.com today. Stop snoring. Sleep better. Live better.
This is Gordon Miller from Miller Lending, the original home of the no-cost mortgage. If you've been in the market for a new home or just wanted to take advantage of lower rates, recent events have shown exactly why Miller Lending chose to offer a way around bad timing with our no closing cost program. With no fees rolled in or charged, including the cost of title insurance, you can simply close on today's rates and refinance free of charge as rates improve. Over the past several months, we spoke to numerous borrowers who had heard rates were coming down and chose to wait. We explained that if rates did fall, you could simply update a few documents and refinance again, but why take the chance? So when rates spiked 0.5% recently, not only was I disappointed that we couldn't help those who waited, but also for those buying a home who just saw a sharp increase to their monthly payment. So while we can't control the market, we can offer an alternative. Eliminate timing and say goodbye to closing costs forever. 877-9-NO-COST or simply apply online at nocostmortgage.com. Miller Lending is an equal housing lender and MLS number 250-2146.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. As a longtime homeowner, I know how it goes when it comes to things that need to be fixed around the house and you just haven't gotten to them. Like maybe that leaky faucet that always has a drip. You think about it, but you never take care of it, and now it's just a part of the house. It's character. Maybe it's your windows that are always sticking and you can't get them open. So you just don't think about it. Who cares? Except now the weather's nice. You want to open the windows, and again, you can't because they're not fixed. Get new windows from Window Nation. They've made it easy to get top-quality custom-fit windows with their The More You Buy, The More You Save sale. You could save up to 50% off all your windows. Plus, you could get them with 0 interest for 5 years. Did you know investing in your home is actually one of the best investments you can make, especially in uncertain times? Experts report that windows retain 80% of their value. Energy efficient, beautiful windows from Window Nation with great deals going on now. Schedule your free consultation at windownation.com.
As the seasons change, it's time to prep your HVAC system with a $49 seasonal tune-up from Columbus Worthington Air. A seasonal tune-up can help save money on your energy bill and help prevent expensive breakdowns. As your local home service experts, everything we do is backed by our exceptional service guarantee. It all adds up to dependable service from neighbors you trust. Columbus Worthington Air and Bryant Heating and Cooling. Whatever it takes. Visit cwaohio.com/radio for details, terms, and conditions. License number 47543.
Common Man and Timmy.
Like challah bread. I'm going to have that pho, and I'm going to have that challah bread. Pho? Give me that PHO soup.
Yeah.
Common Man and Timmy Afternoons on the Fan is sponsored by the Hinderer Motor Company.
Hey, it's T-Bone again. Listen up. Sleep apnea doesn't have to rule your nights. Dr. Mark Levy's been treating snoring and sleep apnea for over 15 years with proven results. And now he has an office in Marysville. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or go to sleepbettercolumbus.com. Stop snoring, sleep better, live better.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, commercial properties. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or give us a call and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Plenty of sunshine today, but you'll need that jacket. Highs only getting into the mid to upper 40s across central Ohio. And then for tonight, clear skies with lows into the 20s. Widespread frost develops overnight into Wednesday morning, otherwise turning sunny with daytime highs milder, getting into the mid to low 60s. I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo for The Fan with the 10 weather impact forecast.
During this 10-second promo, Rothman will lose money gambling on something.
People like you come here and blow the family nest egg that built this town.
Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan. We'll read your emails on the air, but we won't tell you where to send them. Hey, we're not doing all the work for you. This is Bishop and Friends.
Indeed it is, and we are proudly sponsored and brought to you by our great friends at Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for nearly 80 years. It was an interesting one last night in that I never thought UConn was going to win, but it was also a great game, result notwithstanding. The crazy thing about Michigan is they won this game with Lendenborg clearly, I don't know, 60% at best, and they won it playing UConn's way. Like UConn mucked it up, and they still won. Now the cover, it's a pretty sweet cover. To get you plus 6.5, plus 7.5, which we thought would be a pretty nice bet if you were into it last night. But there were times when even that felt a little bit dicey. It's probably the first of what will be a steady diet of this is college basketball. And the job that Dusty May did up there in terms of talent acquisition, that takes a couple things, right? That takes finances to be able to sign the guys that you want to the for lack of a better term, the contracts that you want to sign them for. So the price has got to be, if not right, it's got to be pretty close to right. Lendenborg has said that Michigan did not offer him the most that Kentucky did. He chose Michigan because he competed against Dusty May when they were in the same league and liked the way he went about his business. So there was a relationship there that May had kind of forged. So he identified players in the portal that would fit. He built a roster with length and size and a point guard who could really go almost entirely out of the portal. But the real magic of this from May's perspective is personality-wise, he got it all to work. I mean, Kentucky spent more. Kentucky's entire starting five was out of the portal last year, too. other than Otega Owe, who came back. And Kentucky spent more than them, and Kentucky didn't win anything this year because Mark Pope couldn't get him to row in the same direction. Dusty May was a master of personally getting this group of guys, and it's an AAU team is what it is. He put it together for one run, and he got him to row in the same direction immediately. This didn't come out of nowhere. I mean, you could tell in December that this was going to be a team that could win the national championship, and then he did. And the bitter pill around here is going to be that you could have hired Dusty May. That's going to be a bitter pill at Indiana that you could have. I mean, he's an Indiana guy. Like, that was his dream job, was Indiana. Those are bitter pills to swallow because in year 2 up there, he wins the national title. Could he have done that at Indiana? Could he have done that here? I don't know. Because I don't know if the finances would have been here to support the roster construction the way that he did it at Michigan. I don't know the answer to that. That's a conversation for somebody who's donating. That's a conversation for Ross Bjork, the people who are managing the money. Could you have put a roster like this together at Ohio State? I don't know. But he did it at Michigan, and it is one of the great seasons in college basketball history when you think of what was accomplished.
Yeah, you'll never know. But they turned it around after, winning 8 games in the final year before Dusty May got there, and in the same track, they are now national champions. And Ohio State fans have been having to watch that and look and see, well, let's just make the NCAA tournament. Like, the expectational difference is so stark, and you watch them coach, and you watch Dusty May coach, and you watch how his players play, and you want for that so bad, and it makes it hurt so much more because it's Michigan doing all of this. And it makes it hurt. Like, I understand Baker Urati Gale point, but it doesn't make me feel any better because that was an Ohio State guy. And that they couldn't bring the best out of him here, but now he's a national champion at Michigan. And it's similarly with Devin Royal, where if it is UConn as destination, it's just going to hurt because you don't have the same expectations that you have for Ohio State next year that you have for UConn. It's just you look at all these other programs and you go, Ohio State should want to be this. Damn the resources. Really damn anything else. This is Ohio State, damn it. You should want for all of these things. You should want to be in more than just 0.2 of a second in one shining moment. You should want for more of this.
They got the tip off.
They got the back of Bruce Thornton's head.
Beams goes, Dad, we're in the tip off. Oh, okay.
And I think my point about Roddy Gale was, did Michigan get the best out of him? I would say yes. I don't know about that, but maybe they just slotted him in where he should have been all along. I don't know. Maybe the best of Roddy Gale is being the 7th player on a team. I don't know. That's a different kind of story with roster construction and all of that. I just don't. Bo, your point about having players is huge, but I think last night we saw, and I think Michigan was the best team in the country this year. I think it was them and Arizona all year long, and I think they proved that they were the best. I think you had the 2 best coaches last night, and I think that's more important than anything because I think those coaches will identify players that fit their system, and they will get them. Like Dusty May wants a long athletic team. He went and got those players. Now, good on Michigan that they gave him the resources to do that. Danny Hurley is more of and I don't know if this is his style, more of a slow it down defensive, but that's what his team needed this year. So that's what he did. Those were the players that he had this year. Yeah. So that's what they did. And they did a great job of making Michigan play their game in the first half. But I feel like Connecticut did not do a great job in the second half of that. In the first half, they were taking possessions down to under 10 seconds on the shot clock every time. In the second half, they rushed on offense. Maybe that's just a product of being behind, but they rushed a lot and played more of Michigan style in the second half.
They got into foul trouble because I think they were trying to be too physical.
I don't think this is that hard, guys. Like, let's keep this simple. They went 9 of 33 from 3. UConn did.
They missed like
9 of 33
at one point
from 3.
Second.
That's I don't know that they were rushing shots. I think they got a lot of good looks from 3 that they didn't make. I mean, Caravan and Mullins went 6 of 20 from 3. I mean, you can't. They got a lot. Mullins got a lot of open looks. Caravan forced a couple, but they got open looks, and they didn't knock them down. And your point on, I think both of you guys are coming from the right place in regard to the Gale, Royal, all of that stuff. The reality is that Devin Royal, Roddy Gale, when they were here, needed to be key contributors for Ohio State. They need to play big minutes and be key contributors for Ohio State to win basketball games. At Michigan, and if Devin Royal goes to UConn, they're role players. In the instance of Roddy Gale, not even a starter. He's the 6th, 7th guy at Michigan. Like Devin Royal, maybe he starts, maybe he doesn't. Who knows? We don't know what the roster construction is going to look like. But here, on some nights, he needed to be the one option. Mm-hmm. He needed to be that here. And that goes to the overall talent. I think your point on Maybach is the correct one. Just to extrapolate one part of it, the coaching it's critical. I mean, we see that with Danny Hurley. Like how he can coach a team to play fast. He can coach a team with shot blocking bigs. He can coach a team to play slow. The one thing that's a non-negotiable for him is you're going to play defense, and his teams play defense. Michigan was a supremely more talented team than UConn. Supremely more. But he kept them in a fight for all of it. And if they knock down 3 more threes, if they go 12 of 33 from 3, maybe they win the game. Who knows? But they shot 27% from 3. That's not going to do it. But what May was a master class in, and this is the marriage of coach and resources, he had a type that he wanted in roster construction. He had a type. So he went out and he identified the type. I need a get it up and down floor general point guard in Elliot Cadeau. Well, the knock on Cadeau was he didn't shoot it that well. That's okay. I don't need him to. I need him to get us into our offense. I need him to break people down on penetration. I need him to run pick and roll. Okay, good. I need a shot blocking big. Can I interest you in the Mara kid? He dominated. He had 1 block last night. It felt like he had 50. It's kind of like the NFL sack stat where, well, how many sacks did Miles have? Well, he had a half sack. Yeah, but he had 66 pressures. That was the impact Mara had on the game. UConn would not go down there and challenge him and missed a ton of bunnies just because he was around the rim with his length. And then they shot it around him, and they penetrated and got downhill. And their length was something that was such a massive factor. So it was the combination of, yes, Dusty May's a hell of a coach. Danny Hurley is an incredible coach. May identified type. He said, this is what I need to compete for a national championship. And Michigan, their booster arm, their collectives, however they put it all together, they gave him the resources to be able to do it. And then he was able to sell the Michigan brand and the style and all of that, coupled with the finances to put this thing together. And the question is, does that inspire Ohio State to do the same? You're going to know right away. You'll know when you find out who they're going big game hunting for. And then you have to decide, well, is that the standard? There's one other thing that happened yesterday, and it happened over the course of a couple of months in regard to, for a while we thought, well, maybe this is a trend. It's possible that this is now where the sport is. And I'm not talking about men's basketball, women's basketball, football. I'm talking about college athletics. Is the Big Ten in its golden era now? We'll get to that in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
What can ADP do for small business? We help answer the business questions, like how do you track employee time? How do you do payroll taxes? Or what does compliance even mean? So small businesses can focus on bigger questions. Now florists can ask, can we invent another holiday to sell bouquets? Pizza shops can ask, how do we stuff a calzone into a pizza crust? And pool cleaners can ask, what is that thing in the filter? These are the questions you can focus on when ADP takes care of the business of your small business. ADP for small business.
Turn your tax refund into a new storage shed at Menards. Make this the year you check that project off the list. This spring, get organized and expand your backyard storage space. Arrow has you covered with durable steel sheds that offer long-lasting protection and look good for years to come. These sheds are pre-cut and pre-drilled for faster assembly. Plus, don't forget to check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Family owned and operated. It isn't all sunshine and rainbows. This is Dennis Sullivan, president of Care Heating and Cooling. Here's something you don't hear admitted very often. When you run a business with your family, you don't always get along with them. We argue, we debate, we have real conversations about the decisions that we make. But at Care, every conversation comes back to our priorities, doing right by our employees and our customers. Because when you treat your team like family, they take better care of the families they serve. And when you treat your customers the way you want your own family treated, trust follows. That mindset doesn't always maximize short-term profits, but it builds something better, long-term relationships. Today, more and more local companies are being bought by venture capital firms, where maximizing profits often leads to a sales-first mentality. Care is still family-owned and locally operated, so we can keep people, not profits, at the center of every decision. Care Heating and Cooling. Call 1-800-COOLING when you need a company you can trust.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
What's up? What's up, man? What's up with you?
Here's what's up on a Reaction Tuesday edition of the program. The three money sports in college athletics are football, men's basketball, and women's basketball. The Big Ten won them all. Now, the one's a little bit of a cheat. I don't know that you'd consider UCLA. They're in technically. We'll take them. But I don't know that we can say Big Ten stalwart UCLA on the women's side of things, but we'll take them. They're getting their chunk of the cash, so I guess we'll take them on that front. So they've done it. Indiana, UCLA, and Michigan. You're coming on the heels of now national championships on the football side in 3 consecutive years with the Big Ten, with Michigan, Ohio State, and Indiana. Your first men's basketball championships in 20-some years. Your first women's basketball championship since when? Ever? When's the last Big Ten team to win a national championship in the women's tournament? Who's the last one? I don't even know. I mean, Maryland won some, but they were in the ACC at that point. Has anyone done it?
Crazy to think that Caitlin Clark never won it.
It is. Played for it. Yeah. I mean, we're doing the Googling. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But as you guys are looking that up, think about this. This is now the norm for this conference. Something changed with NIL and free transfer. And what changed was all of the things that were happening below the table for years in the Southeastern Conference and at the Southern states and some of these Southern powerhouses is now above board. You can just pay them what you want. And the reality is, with some exceptions, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, although those haven't manifested in championships yet, you can feel them knocking at the door. LSU, potentially. With some exceptions, by and large, there's more money up here. There's more booster money up here. There's more collective money up here. These schools, by and large, are bigger with massive alumni bases. You can fundraise it with individual boosters at the high level, or you can fundraise it Netflix style, as we call it, with, I'm going to give you $50 a month for the rest of my life to give to collectives. We just have more money. Paul brought up the Civil War last Thursday, and we talked a little bit about that. We talked about that in the two-fist forward thing. There's just more money up here. And now that all of this stuff is legal, it's hard to imagine a situation where any of this changes. Look at next year in football. Who would you identify as teams who could win a national championship? Right off the jump, you're saying Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. USC's not far behind. Who knows what Whittingham does at Michigan? Who knows what happens over at Penn State? But those three off the top, absolutely. Those are the ones who can do it. If you do the same conversation on the men's basketball side, Michigan's not going anywhere, I don't believe. They don't. So, and on the women's side, we'll see where all of this goes. Is it Purdue? Now that I'm thinking about it,
it's 99.
Yep, Purdue 99.
Carolyn Peck was the coach of Purdue, and then she went to Florida.
They're giving Maryland credit for 06.
No, they weren't in the Big Ten. They were in the ACC at that point.
I know the Big Ten takes credit for Maryland's ACC one.
They do. Yeah, I'm sure the Big Ten Network does.
Mm-hmm.
The big point, though, here is I don't think any of this is changing. I don't. I think all of this will stay, and this is the new norm. And there are you guys mentioned Tennessee women's basketball. Like, we don't make a whole lot of time spending talking about Tennessee women's basketball, but the idea that entire roster is in the portal, save for one player, including a recruiting class that includes a number 2 player in the country. This is women's basketball, all in the portal, all looking for more. That's what's coming. That's what's coming. USC next year in women's basketball. Yeah, USC's a Big Ten team. Juju Watkins comes back. Look out. Not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. I did the football conversation. Men's basketball, every team's in the portal, but you're going to have some inspired folks. I don't think what Illinois is doing is going to go away. If Illinois wants to be, I mean, they damn near were this year. They were in the Final Four. But if they want to do this, they could do this in a second. They have massive boosters. Multiple billionaire boosters. If they want to go, they can go if those guys are inspired to do it. Good Lord, we've talked about Michigan State.
Just about to say the Spartans.
Holy cow, Reese. If Izzo's like, I want another title before I pack it in, and Ishbia and Gilbert say, yeah, you bet, Coach. What do you need?
Yeah, it's the proper motivation. I mean, you look at just the odds for next season. I'm looking at 2 Big Ten teams at the top, Michigan plus 800, Michigan State plus 1,500. Florida's there plus 1,300. But then after Michigan State, UConn, Kansas, Arkansas, Illinois, North Carolina. I mean, what Michigan and what Illinois did to a lesser extent to Michigan, that's what you're doing now. That's what you're going to look to do. I mean, what Cignetti did at Indiana, that's what teams are going to be doing. Like, it's not lost to the football side of things. Ohio State's got 51 people, brand new. A lot of those guys from the transfer portal, because that's just what the ask is in college football. And it's happening now everywhere, and more schools are able to get in on it. And I do think, like, the SEC, just the schools are, one, not as well financed, to your point, but just involved in more chaos. Like, it's just wackier down there, and I think it's less people want to be part of that. I mean, Ohio State, I think there's a little bit of a reason why Ohio State's kind of become the place for Alabama players to land. You know, Nick Saban leaving obviously has a lot to do with it, but it does go to my chaos theory. Look what could happen in LSU in a couple of years. What happened at Texas A&M? What's happened at Florida? All these schools are just dealing with just kind of insanity. And I think LSU's probably not long for that. And maybe for 3 sports. Because you mentioned the 3 Big Ten. Well, LSU and their men's, women's, and college football, like, those are characters. But are they characters that can win you long term? And those are the characters that can develop you. And I still think that really matters too, along with the giant bag of cash.
The giant bag of cash, maybe the operative word. I hope, Bo, that this, and you kind of heard the right things with Ohio State basketball and Ross Bjork talking about they need to find more resources for the basketball team. It was never, we're going to take from what we already have. It was, we've got to find more. Because we all know they're not taking anything from football. If anything, they're going to add to football. I hope that this spurs them to care a little more about basketball and invest a little more in this roster, because I think you have the makings here next year with Amari and Anthony Thompson. If we're putting a lot of pressure on a freshman that's never played a college basketball game, but if he lives up to his top or his 5-star ranking and is that kind of player, you have him and Amari and Junie. You've got the makings of something there, but you still need to add some valuable pieces around them. And hopefully, we've seen Ohio State's transfer portal mindset change both years that Jake Diebler has been here. At first, it was young, talented guys. Well, with young, talented guys, sometimes you've got to let them develop. And who knows what Aaron Bradshaw and Sean Stewart will be in their next couple years of college basketball, but you couldn't pay them to develop. You paid them for production. So last year you changed. You went the older route. You went Christoph Tilley, who played some minutes for you. Brandon Knoll, who unfortunately wasn't healthy most of the year, especially when you needed him. And Gabe Cupps, who is now in the transfer portal again. Hopefully they have the strategy and the structure they want for the transfer portal now for this year, and they can go really help augment this roster, and they can be a team that's not fighting to get in the NCAA tournament, but maybe fighting for a Big Ten championship firmly in the tournament and can win a couple games.
It takes intestinal fortitude to play this game now in hoops, even more than football. It does, because let's use the Kentucky example. They went about as all in as you could in the class that they had from a portal standpoint, and it didn't work. Do they have the intestinal fortitude to double down and spend another $28 million or $32 million or whatever it is to go win it next year? And then do they trust Mark Pope to be able to put that all to row in the same direction? It all comes back to ROI. I'll give you the money, but what am I seeing for it? Am I seeing results? And if not, then you got to find somebody who can, because there's no patience for any of this stuff anymore. There isn't. Dusty May was asked why he took the Michigan job last night after winning the national championship. Here's what he had to say. Maybe.
One sec.
In the meantime, one shiny moment still is undefeated.
Here we go, Reese. I got it.
Living in Ypsilanti when I was a young assistant in Eastern Michigan, I wasn't that familiar with Michigan other than '89 and being a fan of the game, and just the feelings that people had, the pride they had in their university. I just thought that was really, really cool. We thought it was a great time to get back to the Midwest. We were to just stage our life. We were empty nesters and just wanted something different. And then just felt like Michigan was a place, ultimately, with the changing landscape, that we could retain really good players, even if it wasn't going great for them. It was going to be hard to leave. And even Terrace is a great example. He had options to go anywhere in the country, and it was difficult for him, based on my conversations, it was difficult for him to leave the University of Michigan and the relationships that he had made and all the people that poured into him. So I just felt like that's the type of place that I'd love to coach at.
I mean, you heard him say it. I wanted to get back to the Midwest. It was known. It was known. They hired him, and then they gave him the resources to put this together. And in 2 years, it manifests in a national championship. And my hunch is it will invigorate that alumni base to make sure that they stay there. And God knows we know that they have the means. They have the means. Will it inspire the same here? Time will tell, certainly. We'll get into the night in sports outside of the national championship game. Have some comments about, I want to get into this a little bit. I really think that what you're listening to on the college basketball side of things from a broadcast perspective is about as good as it gets. We will get to that. A massive game for the Jackets as well tonight. It's all coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If you miss a live show, you can catch the podcast. If you miss the podcast, our hosts have volunteered to have dinner with you.
The meatloaf!
The Fan.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Tired of snoring? Dr. Mark Levy can help with a custom mouthpiece that opens your airway and stops the snoring. No mask, no noise. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit sleepbettercolumbus.com today. Stop snoring. Sleep better. Live better.
All the folks at Buckeye, night or day.
My sinks gurgle, they barely drain. The toilet overflowed. I plunge all day with no look. What's wrong with this commode?
Clogged drain, no problem. It's 93 or free. I'll clear any drain or you don't pay with a 1-year guarantee. It's 93 or free. Guaranteed. Call 614-683-9911. Call the folks at Buckeye, night or day.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to power your progress, so you can give everything you've got, all for just 1 cent down. Whether you want to get the most out of our best-in-class equipment or go all in with free fitness training, our trainers are ready to help you get stronger than ever before. Take your workout to the next level at Planet Fitness. Join the club today for 1 cent down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, April 10th. You ready? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
Hey folks, Austin Ward here. You know, there was a time if you handed me a bread basket at dinner, it was like feeding a gator. You might lose a finger. Bread, pasta, pizza, man, carbs were undefeated in my life. That is, until Awaken 180 weight loss came in and flipped the script. Look, I've run the gauntlet of diets, and each time, carbs won by knockout. But Awaken 180 isn't a diet. It's a whole new playbook for changed up lifestyle. We all know it's necessary to lose that weight, but this is to keep it off. That constant carb craving, the one we all shrug off as normal, gone. Sure, I still love my pizza, but here's the difference. Now I don't need it. So now, most times when that waiter hustles over with a basket of temptation, I just grin, give a little nod, and wave it away like I'm passing on a 4th and long. Because I'm in control now. Awaken 180 isn't just a game changer, it's a life changer. Trust me. Call them at 844-346-1800 or visit awaken180weightloss.com. Your future self will thank you.
I love Right Pack Credit Union because they're solution driven. I feel valued as a member.
They're focused on the latest technology and the personal connections.
Experience benefits that go beyond banking with Right Pack Credit Union. Just ask our actual members.
I definitely recommend Right Pack to all my family and friends as a credit union of choice.
Visit one of our Columbus area Right Pack Credit Union member centers near you. Based on individual members' experiences, results may vary.
After an audit of our programming, the suits here at The Fan decided we needed more baseball. And that common man is stupid. Good news, we fixed one of those problems. Catch the Reds on The Fan all season long. Yay, baseball.
Hey, it's T-Bone again. Listen up. Sleep apnea doesn't have to rule your nights. Dr. Mark Levy's been treating snoring and sleep apnea for over 15 years with proven results. And now he has an office in Marysville. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or go to sleepbettercolumbus.com. Stop snoring, sleep better, live better.
Fall is a season of change, and Hinderer Motor Company is turning over a new leaf with big savings. This is Justin Hinderer. Right now, any one of our participating locations is paying up to $3,500 over Kelley Blue Book value. That's right. Drive in your current vehicle and leave with one of ours today. Don't wait. The leaves are falling and so are the prices. At Hinderer Motor Company, we love what moves you.
I started my first business when I was 12, mowing lawns for about $5 a yard. I learned if you do the job right, people trust you and customers care that you show up and do what you say you're going to do. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Don's Garage Doors. From garage door repairs to upgrades, we show up, we stand behind every job. We only use the best parts, and spring's guaranteed to last a lifetime. When you care about the people you serve, you work harder and it shows. Call Don's Garage Doors today or schedule online at donsgaragedoors.com.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Columbus, Worthington, Air, and Bryant. Doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
Connect with the show on X at 971BFS. Jump in our YouTube chat or just send a raven. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
And hey, fellas, when it comes time to making a big decision like, the ring, you don't wing it. That's why I trust my friends at Diamond Seller. I have for 20 years now, but for nearly 80 years, you have too. Their family helped generations of couples celebrate life's biggest moments, exceptional quality, larger diamonds, better value, and guys, here's the best part. They're going to walk you through it step by step. You know what you're getting into, you know what you're getting, and you're getting it right. Whether you're ready to propose or ready to upgrade, visit Diamond Seller, Sawmill Road, Easton Town Center. Learn more at diamondseller.com. I think I've always loved CBS's, and I realize this game was on Turner last night, but I've always loved CBS's March Madness NCAA tournament teams. For the longest time, it was Jim Nance and Billy Packer, and I know some people didn't like Billy Packer, but I liked him just fine, and I thought Nance was incredible as play-by-play. And then for a while, it was Nance and Clark, and that was apex for me because Clark's the best. He's the best on the studio show. To me, he's the best on the in-game. I just love all of it. And then they pivoted to Nance and Raftery and Hill, and then when Nance stepped aside, they went with Ian Eagle. Again, I think they've crushed it. I think the three of them is about as pleasant of a listen as you're going to find in broadcasting right now. The idea that Grant Hill has the humility to step aside and allow Raftery to have his fun, because Raftery eats up a lot of the airspace, and Hill just comes in with little anecdotes here and there, and Eagle driving all of it. He had a great call last night. They all did. The studio show sometimes gets a little bit loose. But when they keep it pointed, it's pretty good. And I think it still holds up as, despite the evolution through the years, it's really as good as it gets in terms of a sports production standpoint.
Yeah, it's what everybody, I think, aspires to be. They're cohesive. They're mostly coherent. I think the halftime show was interesting last night, just from the standpoint of you do kind of have, from a point guard standpoint, so many different guys you want to get the ball to. And did it feel like to you guys that they thought, despite UConn trailing, UConn was having the better half? That was the one thing I heard from them. I was like, well, yeah, UConn's played okay.
I think they were trying to will. I think they were trying to will the game more competitive than it was.
Yeah,
because it was frantic at times, especially in the second half. And I think Ian was selling UConn's competitiveness. And at times it made it feel like it was closer than it was. They really never got it to like a single possession, never got that close. It was always 5-6, something like that. But then they had some of those crazy, sequences in the second half where it felt like it was a 1-point game.
Oh, like it almost tied it up.
Yeah, but they were down 7 or 8 or whatever. They would cut it to 5 or 6.
Yeah, they got it to 4 a couple times. And the one time I believe they got it to 4, they had the bad pass on a switch up top that led to the fast break, alley-oop to Mara. And that's when I was like, well, this game is over. UConn is not getting there. I think they were kind of doing that, Reese, in the first half and at halftime, because the game in the first half had really been played at UConn's pace.
Sure.
And that was maybe more incredible that Michigan was leading at the half because they had not played well. UConn had dictated the terms of the game so far, and they still weren't winning. That might have been the first sign that
something was
maybe
wrong.
These guys are in trouble here. But I do believe that's why they did it, is UConn had kind of controlled the first half. At least.
They had, yeah.
And I think that's a great testament to just that whole team doing the broadcast, because even Tracy Wolfson, when she had Lendeborg, he was really honest and open to it.
I couldn't believe it.
Oh, my gosh. I've never heard a player do that. And they handled all of that so well and then carried it over into the second half to where really every big moment felt huge. It just felt so much bigger despite kind of the deficit that UConn kept facing.
I think Wilson was floored. He answered that honestly.
Yeah, it was so good.
Floored.
That's an incredible television moment.
Like, it's paraphrasing if you missed it. I'm favoring it. I'm not myself. I can't make the plays I used to make. I was like, what? Jeez.
It's a national championship, man.
Holy cow.
No
they
player.
never used to do that. They never used to do the player interviews. It was always coaches, but now they're doing those player interviews, and I'm like, wow. That was as candid as I've ever heard a player.
By the way, do they need to get Tracy Wolfson a step stool for these? Because Lindenborg's like bending over.
I can't stand when they're standing on boxes. Be your real height.
He's like bending over, like I can't hear you down there.
As
like,
a vertically challenged person, be your real height.
Do you remember when he had to do that with Zach Edey, and she had to interview him?
Which was even worse
He was like
than
bent at the
Lindenborg.
waist.
Get a boom, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I thought they're great, though. And one shining moment still hits for me. Obviously doesn't hit as well when it's Michigan, but it's, the boys were all watching it this morning. It still works.
I know a lot of people, when Ian Eagle started to get jobs, went with the nepotism route. Oh, he's only got this job because of who his dad.
You mean Noah?
You're Noah, yeah, sorry. Yeah. He's pretty darn good at football and basketball. He's really good at his job. Now, I will say, I would have enjoyed Kevin Harlan in that spot, but Noah Eagle, I mean, yeah, his dad's who he is, but he's good enough to be there.
Yeah, the thing with whether you're Noah Eagle and Ian, who was on the call last night, or you're the Bucks or the Carries, the one thing that, like, I always think Joe Bucks talked about this a lot from the nepotism standpoint. Like, he got to call, I want to say this was either while he was in college or right out of college. He got to call like every night minor league baseball in the Cardinals organization. So he got reps. Like, can imagine like if you guys, like, let's say like you want to go be play-by-play. Do you know how hard it would be to be like the everyday play-by-play in the Guardians or Reds organization at a minor league affiliate? Like, to get that gig? So you get to make, so Noah Eagle got to make those mistakes with a ton of reps that most don't get to. Now, once you get that, once you get the opportunity, what do you do with it? And he's crushing. He's basically the play-by-play voice of NBC now at this point on the college football and everything else, while his dad's handling all this March Madness stuff. I mean, Ian Eagle's probably the one guy who could fill in for Jim Nantz, and you'd be like, yeah, still got it. And I thought he was exceptional in all of it. So, really good presentation there. I had no idea this. You put this in the prep, Reese, because you snuck in some baseball on me. Jose Ramirez became the franchise leader in games played?
Yeah, take that, Terry Turner.
Holy cow.
16-20 for J-Ram last night. He's the all-time Cleveland Guardian, in my opinion. They lost the game, but it was a really cool moment at the beginning of the festivities. You had Tom Hamilton announce it. Yeah, the other two players, Terry Turner from 1904 to 1918, and then Nap LaJoie played 1,614 from 1902 to 1914. There is no other player in baseball that is currently with his franchise that leads in that category.
Reese, who's your list of the Mount Rushmore of guard? Because I don't think there's a question that Jose's number one.
He's number one.
He's number one to me.
Bob Fellers.
Yeah, you have to put him up there.
Yeah,
I put Kluber because he won 2 Cy Youngs.
Who?
Corey Kluber.
Kluber. Boy, what are you going to do with the 90s, though? Is it Tomey? Is it Lofton?
Bell, Kenny Lofton. Yeah.
That's a tough one. The 90s is when it gets really tough because I don't know. Because people think Kenny Lofton played there a lot longer than he did.
I think Tomey has to be on there, too.
I'm going to do Tomey on my Mount Rushmore. I got 4 heads. If I could, I'd just construct another head for 5. But
I could never have Corey Kluber up there because back when I worked for the Clippers, every game he pitched took like 4.5 hours, and it was like, dude, we're not getting paid more for this. Come on, get it over. So I've always had a dislike for Corey Kluber because of that. But
all right, coming up. Second hour of the program coming up next. We begin it with the real truth. I've got an ad-lib one based on that we're going to get into. Was LeBron James right? Among the topics of conversation. We'll get to all of that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If the sound of another man slammed against plexiglass turns you on, you've come to the right place. Proud to be your home for Jackets hockey. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Mortgage rates have dropped, and the best news is they're expected to go down even more. Hi, I'm Mark Stefanski, Chairman and CEO of Third Federal. If you've been thinking about buying a new home, now is the time. And with Third Federal's Buy Now, Refi Later program, you don't have to wait for rates to drop again. You get the guaranteed lowest rate now, and if rates drop later, even after you close, you can refinance to a lower rate for free. That's right, for free. And now with Third Federal's early rate lock, you can lock in the guaranteed lowest rate even before you find a house. So you'll always have the best rate. So don't wait. Call Third Federal today and lock in the guaranteed lowest rate.
Right now at Third Federal, lock in 5.99% APR 6.02% on a 30-year fixed rate purchase mortgage and refinance later if rates go down for free. Visit thirdfederal.com or call 1-800-3rd-FED today. APR reflects 15% down for $350,000 loan amount. Rate requires automatic payment program and is subject to change. Restrictions apply. See conditions for buy now, refi later. Lowest rate guarantee and early rate lock at thirdfederal.com. Equal housing lender.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Now is the time to call Comer & Cross and transform your garage with a gleaming new Comer & Cross garage floor. Maybe your garage floor has exposed concrete with stains and cracks or a bad epoxy or paint job. Well, a new Comer & Cross garage floor will transform your entire garage in just one day. Now, here's the great part of this whole story. If you call them right now, they're going to take 50% off installation. Yeah, that's right, 50% off installation from Comer & Cross when you call them today at 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. A Comer & Cross garage floor is the gold standard, guaranteed to never chip, crack, or show tire lift like epoxy or paint ever. Plus, they make it easy. They'll take your stuff out of the garage for you. They'll fix your cracks and pits perfectly like it's a new garage floor, and then they'll apply the proprietary finish that you pick. Yeah, I said it. They'll fix your cracks and pits. What's wrong with that? That's what you want. So call them today at 1-800-NEW-FLOOR to get 50% off installation. That's 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. Or go to comercross.com.
Get eco.
ECO. Hey, Jerry, you know how we remind people not to be a sump pump grump this time of year?
I sure do. If people's sump pumps aren't pumpy, they sure can get grumpy.
And down in the dumpy.
But our $89 sump pump inspection can replace all that sump pump grumpiness with happiness.
Even if it doesn't rhyme.
Get eco.
ECO. Our expert sump pump plumbers will make sure your sump pump is working to spec and ready to pump. We'll even do a camera inspection of your downspout drainage system to make sure there aren't any backups causing problems down the line.
And turn your sump pump grump into a flow-it-all, know-it-all.
Get eco.
ECO. Jerry, I'm starting to think not everything we do has to rhyme.
But rhymes help people remember things they like, Aaron. I mean, you like hokey pokey, don't you?
I do like the hokey pokey.
Get eco.
ECO. Eco plumbers, electricians, and sump pump technicians.
Low testosterone can be a real problem for many men. It causes poor sleep patterns, decreased energy, low sex drive, and it makes it really hard to stay in shape. And as we all know, a healthy body is very important to our overall health and well-being. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, and if some or all of these symptoms sound like you, we can likely help you be done with low T. We can also help you lose weight, support your metabolism, improve your gains in the gym, and more with our new targeted body composition plans featuring GH peptides, NAD+, GLP-1s, and more. Our low T protocols, applied in conjunction with our body composition plans, will help most men see real improvements, true weight loss, higher energy, improved sleep, stronger workouts, and a renewed sex drive as well. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the same day, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
Featured therapies are compounded and have not been evaluated nor approved by the FDA. Provider prescription required. See website for details.
Hey, it's Austin Ward. Listen to The Beat with Austin and Byrne, now powered by the Waterworks and Header Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Get the latest Buckeye news, insights, and unbeatable analysis every day. Don't miss a moment. Stream The Beat with Austin and Byrne, sponsored by the Waterworks and Header Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Hey, it's Bo Bishop here. You've heard me talk about High Bank Spirits, but the food is just as good. Brunch worth planning your weekend around. Seasonal dinners perfect for date night or game night. Plus, kids eat half off every Monday. Find menus and locations at highbankco.com. Dine, drink, distill at High Bank.
Spring cleaning isn't just for your house, it's for your life. If your job is getting old, it's time to clear the clutter and spring into IT. Go to My Computer Career.
My Computer Career helped me get the skills and certifications I needed to start a new life as an IT professional in months, not years.
Earn the certifications the top employers are looking for right now. Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation to see if it's time to spring into IT. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Broadcasting live from the McDaniel GM Superstore Studios, driving excellence since 1916. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. WBNS HD1 Columbus.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The college basketball transfer portal is open today through Monday, April 20th. 4 Buckeyes have put their names in. Gabe Cupps, Colin White, Tayson Chapman, and Devin Royal. 24/7 Sports predicts Royal to land at UConn. The Huskies, the national runners-up after falling to Michigan 69-63 last night in the NCAA title tilt. The Wolverines have the second-best odds to repeat in 2027 behind Duke. In other news, North Carolina will reportedly hire former Nuggets head coach Mike Malone for their coaching vacancy. Malone spent 10 years in Denver, where he won the NBA title in 2023. In baseball last night, the Reds blanked the Marlins 2-0 in Miami. The Guardians fell to the Royals 4-2 in Cleveland. The cold weather has game 2 of their 3-game set rescheduled for 1:10 today, and the Blue Jackets are only two points out of a wild card spot. They're in Detroit to take on the Red Wings at 7 here on The Fan with coverage at 6:30. This update is sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union, voted best local credit union for the last 8 years. BMIFCU.org.
Our top men are working on everything except this show.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
All right, second hour here on a Tuesday edition of the program. A little bit of Tuesdays with Tiberi coming up in 29 minutes from now. We begin, though, with the real truth. I believe.
Bishop and Friends present The Real Truth.
Sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years.
All right. Before we get to yours, I have an ad-lib one for you both, okay? Is this the real truth? Let's see if I can execute it. Last week, LeBron James said, quote, "I'm blanking 41 years old. You think I want to do this blank being in Memphis on a random Thursday? I'm not like the first guy to ever talk about it in the NBA. Like we all say, you guys have to move. Go to Nashville." And he continued on and on. Now, they've doubled down, and some people trying to make it a racial component about Memphis and so forth and so on. But is LeBron James was right? Is that the real truth?
It is. I can't blame him. I mean, there's some of these cities in the NBA. Yeah. Look, he lives in Los Angeles. You know, he has other things that he'd like to be doing. And I think for a lot of these teams, he's telling the truth that only he can.
Yes.
There's most players probably cannot say what they want to. I mean, I think it was Joakim Noah that said not something similar about Cleveland, but his distaste for other cities that he had to play in. Like, I thought they were fine comments by LeBron. Wasn't he on the golf course when he did it too?
I think so. Or it was a post-game. Might have been in a post or pre-game. Bake, what do you say?
I mean, maybe he's right. You know, some of these cities aren't glamorous. If you don't want to be there, don't play. Like I don't know. Like you said, Reese. Would we be thinking differently if LeBron said this about Cleveland? Well, of course, because it's his hometown. But Joakim Noah said it, right?
He doubled down on Cleveland. He goes, "I think that about my hometown, and it's my hometown. I don't want to be there." Yeah, Here's the reality of it, and this is the part that is the real truth, and this is the part that gets missed. And there's another city that's in a similar boat. Neither Memphis nor New Orleans should have an NBA team. To begin with, the NBA moved out of Vancouver. Do a quick Google image search of Vancouver, British Columbia, and a quick Google image search of Memphis, Tennessee. And I like Memphis. I like it. I think it's a cool town. I always thought it was cool. Like the Peabody, the little ducks walking around. Like the history, like the music, like the food. I get it. But financially, they basically have FedEx. There's just not enough. Same thing with New Orleans. There isn't enough population or resources in the area. Now, New Orleans, guys love New Orleans because great hotels and you have the time of your life. But from a monetary standpoint, it is pretty crazy. You could take those two teams, and you could take the Memphis Grizzlies, and they have a great fan base, and I don't want to be dismissive of that, and I hope that it's not coming off that case because I think they've supported the heck out of that team. But that's really not what it's about. It's about should the city have it to begin with. And the reality is probably not. You could put one of those in Seattle, one of them in Vegas. You could put one of them in Nashville if you wanted to. There are cities with much more resources. And the reality is, if you are an owner in one of these markets, you're essentially acting as charity because you cannot make the profits that the other owners can make in some of these other markets because you don't have the corporate dollars. And that's really what it comes down to. This isn't the NFL where every media deal is split evenly. It's different. You got to make your own luck. Ask the Dodgers. So, yeah, there are some places where it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's pretty wild that they're in those two towns specifically.
So, looking at the Hornets and Grizzlies, Hornets have the worst attendance. The Grizzlies are second worst, and it's been that way for at least the last 2 seasons. I'm now going back to 2024.
Yeah, there's just
Pacers
not enough
and
population.
Hornets. Yeah.
There's not enough population for it. There's not enough corporate money in either New Orleans or Memphis, juxtaposed to some of the other ones. Like, here's another thing, too. Like, would Oklahoma City have worked if they didn't have Durant right away?
Probably
we'll never
not.
know. Never know if that city was big enough to be able to handle it.
So I think my question would be, a lot of people always talk about Columbus wanting an NBA team here in town. And I've always wondered if that would work or not. I kind of thought that it wouldn't, but
I don't think it would in conjunction with the Blue Jackets. You could have one or the other, but I don't think you could have both. Especially nowadays. Maybe 20 years ago. But nowadays, I mean, guys, a lot of these NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, they're giving tickets away. I mean, we talk about the top of the league, right? The big ones, the ones that have all the attendance, all of that. But just like the bottom half, look at some of these attendance figures. People aren't going to this stuff the way that they used to. All right, Reese, sorry to hijack your segment.
No, he was saying, so he's on this YouTube thing called Bob Does Sports.
Yeah,
and
funny.
He's on a golf course talking about what you said about the effing Hyatt at 41 years old. And then yesterday, I'm seeing comments that he wasn't talking about the city or the people in Memphis.
No, because a couple of it was Kendrick Perkins and some others trying to make it a racial thing because Memphis is predominantly African-American city. It had nothing to do with that. He didn't want to stay in a bad hotel. That was it. They didn't have a Four Seasons. They didn't have a St. Regis. They didn't have a Ritz-Carlton to put an NBA team in. Which, by the way, do we just assume that all of those hotels that NBA teams go to, are they just all housed with massive beds for those players that aren't there any other time? Because a king ain't doing it. That's 6x6 is the measurement of a king bed. It's 6x6. Even a California king isn't doing it, mattress-wise.
And you're probably not taking it in and out of the room each time. That's coming up the freight elevator.
I would think.
Yeah. And LeBron's probably got his own thing that he wants. And at the Hyatt, they probably don't have LeBron James accommodations.
Yeah.
At least not at the Hyatt in Memphis.
Michael Red can weigh in if he's listening. Mike, tell us, how did they do it? How did they make sure you guys had long enough beds?
The Big Ten will win another football and men's basketball title before the SEC wins either. Is that the real truth?
We'll win another football and men's basketball. No, I don't think it's the real truth because of the caveat of that they have to win another of both. I would say that the SEC, from a football perspective, who's got their best chance next year? I guess if you believe in Texas. Everybody else is kind of maybe Texas a little bit. I don't know if there's anybody else in that conference that gives me much. I mean, I guess LSU, if Kiffin should be able to. He spent 50 on the roster. Like, they should be able. He's got Levitt. He should be able to compete right away at LSU. But I don't like either one of those teams more than the ones up here, I don't think. And then hoops-wise, their best. I mean, we have no idea on hoops because you just have no idea what Kentucky. They're going to have a whole new roster. Like, you have no idea what Arkansas is going to do.
What about LSU?
The number 2 player in the country. Yeah, hoops with Will Wade. Like, if they're all jacked up, I don't know. I'm going to say it's not the real truth, but it gives you pause and it tells you how far we've come in a short amount of time.
I'm going to say this is not the real truth, and it's because of basketball, Bo, because I do believe in one program down there and one coach, and that's Florida and Todd Golden. I don't think Florida's going anywhere. I think Florida's going to continue to be competing for national championships here in the foreseeable future. So I don't believe it's the real truth just because of the Florida Gators in hoops.
Boone Jenner and Rick Bowness will not both be back next season for the Blue Jackets. Is that the real truth?
Will either.
Also good question.
Yeah. No, I think this is the real truth. Yeah. I don't think both will, and I don't know if either will.
I think it is the real truth as well. And as a Blue Jackets fan to me, and I think he has done a great job since he's been there, I don't know if I want to hire a coach that's only going to be here for 1 or 2 years. Because I don't think Rick Bowness is going to be coaching until he's 77. He already retired once. He's 71. You can tell he's been super frustrated by this recent stretch of play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the best move for the Columbus Blue Jackets moving forward.
Which part? Bringing
Rick Bowness back for just 1 year. Now, if he's going to say, I'm going to be here for 4 years, maybe I would get on board for that. But I feel like there are a lot of good coaches available out there right now that could be a coach that could be with this team for the next 4, 5, 6 years. And this is a team that has a core of a roster that I still believe is a core that you want to have moving forward here in the National Hockey League. So,
does that core include Boone Jenner?
I don't consider Boone Jenner part of that core. I consider that.
C.
I know, but I consider that he's on the older side. I consider that core to be Zach Werenski, Adam Fantilli, Kirill Marchenko, Denton Matejchuk. I consider it to be those younger guys, even though Z is a veteran in the league now. Mm-hmm. I consider it to be those younger guys.
Yeah. And then the personality matchup of all of it, right? You need a coach that will go with that, you know?
I think the Boone thing is going to be a lot like the Devin Royal thing. How much are you willing to pay him? At what cost is that for your team? And is Boone willing to be a third and fourth line guy? Is that what he wants to, does he want to try to have a more prominent role? Or
Yeah. I mean, that's the challenge of all of it. So we'll see. And a massive one tonight. We'll have Porty on and around 11:30 to kind of break that down and how they got to this point. Yesterday, Ryan Day spoke on our program. We had some time to digest it. Some of the highlights from that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Spring is here, and there's no better place to make memories than the Columbus Zoo. See tigers up close, watch playful otters, and see the baby elephants in action. For a limited time, take advantage of our Zoo After 2 p.m. deal. Plan your adventure at columbuszoo.org.
Imagine your money as a seed and watch it grow like a weed. It may sound cheesy, but we're here to tell you it's that easy. With a high-rate money market account from Kemba Financial Credit Union, earning you up to 3.75% APY until 2027, you can watch it sprout and bloom without even entering the room. Hurry, offer expires April 30th, 2026. Visit Kemba.org. Restrictions apply. Advantage status and $5,000 minimum balance required to obtain APY. Max of $1 million. APY equals annual percentage yield, federally insured by NCUA.
Common Man here for Weed Man. I talk to you about Weed Man every year. Why? Simple. Number one, I use it. Number two, it works. You want to get those lawn roots thick, baby, because when that happens, they resist weeds, disease, and insects, and they're using top-of-the-line stuff. We're talking golf course quality. Weed Man is locally owned and operated by Corbin and Audrey. They will take care of you. Proudly serving Central Ohio and our Dayton friends. Call your local office, 614-733-3747, weedman.com.
We can come the day you call us.
We're 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
Brian, I've been meaning to ask you something.
Okay, ask away.
Sometimes when we're talking, I hear a little sparkling sound.
Is it when one of us says, all you have to do is point?
There it is. Did you hear that?
That's the sound of magic happening.
Magic? Like we can come the day you call us? Wow.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
Hey folks, it's Jeremy Birmingham. Berm here from the Austin and Berm Show on 97.1 The Fan. After hitting maintenance with Awaken 180, I kind of thought that was the whole deal. All right, cool. Don't be an idiot now. Don't gain it back. Stay under 200 pounds. That was the win. But then maintenance did something I really didn't expect. I lost another 5 pounds for free. I'm now down 40 pounds, further under 200, and that's the part about Awaken 180 that still cracks me up a little bit. Because people hear maintenance and think it means barely hanging on, eating celery in the dark and trying not to blow it. That's not this. I'm eating pizza. I can have ice cream. I'm living like a normal person. The difference is I'm not fighting myself all day, or if I'm wondering what one weekend away from the plan could ruin the whole thing. Awaken 180 just didn't help me lose the weight. It taught me how to live in a way where I'm not headed right back to where I started. The last 5 pounds in free maintenance, that tells you everything. Awaken180weightloss.com. Go there now and give it a chance and see how it can help you take control of your life and your health the way it did for me. Awaken180weightloss.com.
How many different ways can you consume morning juice? Let's see. Live on YouTube, live on the Fans HD3, podcast on demand, and on 10 TV Plus. It will send Bobby right to your house.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 8.
The Fan.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is, fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, commercial properties. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Hi, I'm Josie. My daughter turns 5 today. Blow out the candles. I'm also an Ohio State Highway Patrol trooper. When you move over and slow down, you're not only giving me room to work, you're making sure I can get home to celebrate with my daughter.
Roadside workers have lives and families, but when they're on the job, they put it all on the line to protect and serve us. When you see flashing lights, remember, they're not just roadside workers. Thank you for moving over and slowing down.
Brought to you by ODOT, USDOT, NHTSA, and ODPS.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Plenty of sunshine today, but you'll need that jacket. Highs only getting into the mid to upper 40s across central Ohio. And then for tonight, clear skies with lows into the 20s. Widespread frost develops overnight into Wednesday morning, otherwise turning sunny with daytime highs milder, getting into the mid to low 60s. I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo for The Fan with the 10 weather impact forecast.
Matty Ice is currently bathing himself in creamy jalapeno dip. And I've officially run out of ways to tease this show. Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays at noon.
The Fan. 10 feet tall and bulletproof isn't just a saying, it's a way of life. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
You guys haven't had the opportunity because, well, we're doing the show. All these practices and availabilities have been on. And I'm in the same boat as you guys. But one thing that I'm excited to see in the spring is just the way that Ohio State offensively in the spring game, the way that they go about their business. What's the operation look like? Do things look slightly different? Ryan Day's been pretty adamant about this, and it's been his offense really since the time he was hired. He brought his offense to Ohio State. There's been different machinations of it. If you think about the offense that we had in 18-19 versus the offense we had last year, there's been times we played with tempo. There's been time Urban was a big tempo guy, so he wanted to play tempo. There were times we played tempo. Last year we didn't play tempo at all. Last year we took a lot of time and had a very low amount of plays per game, and that was by design because they were trying to play the long game and save guys, stay healthy. Knew you had the best roster. Let's get touchdowns every time we get it. Did it come back to bite you in the Indiana game? Maybe, because if those touchdown drives don't manifest in points, then it's a lot of time, and all of a sudden you don't have the possessions to come back. What impact will Arthur Smith have on this offense? That is the question to me that I'm most curious about. I don't have much question about the offensive line talent or depth. I think all of that is going to sort itself out. You got some health issues. If you're curious, if there is one position group offensively that's a little bit concerned, it might be the running back room just because it's very young and the two guys are going to be the bell cows or out for spring. But quite honestly, as long as they're back there when we're broadcasting live on the first practice of the season, that's going to be fine too. So really what it comes down to is operationally, how does it look? The thing that is hampering that is the injuries that are happening. And the one thing that I took from yesterday's availability was a little bit of frustration from Coach Day in terms of not being able to kind of have their full deck of cards to play with. Here is Coach Day, and see if you can pick up on this as well, talking and discussing the limitations of the injuries in spring practice.
Well, just getting those guys the reps of seeing the schemes and things like that. Obviously, the run checks by the quarterbacks, the blocking of the tight ends and the offensive line and the wide receivers. That's all getting done. you just would like to see, more guys getting those reps and seeing the cuts and because it's all timing and vision and all those things. So that's the only thing that, we're obviously a little frustrated with. But the rest of the group is still getting the work done, and we're making a lot of progress that way. Just would love to see everyone getting the reps. But, hey, injuries are part of it. We'll get these guys healthy and quickly get them back on the field.
That's the thing that's difficult. Some of that continuity was added to on the offensive line. We had the news yesterday of Sarivold and Daniels will both miss the rest of spring. Here's Ryan on that continuity that just unfortunately hasn't been able to be there.
Yeah, I think it's big when you have guys in your program for multiple years and you know where they're at. Guys really take big jumps in the offensive line. It was just how things slow down, the overall maturity, the understanding of the game, the experience, then just physically just growing into their bodies. It's really the most developmental position that in tight ends that in my opinion, we have in college football. So when you see guys really step up and play really well in year 4 and 5, it's typically because of all those things. The number of reps, the accumulation of these games starts to show up. Now, if we think that somebody athletically has tapped out and they can't get any better, that's another conversation. But the guys that we had coming back, we felt like they could continue to get better with these reps. And when you look at across the country, the trend in the last few years is when you have a veteran offensive line, typically you're able to adjust things quickly, and guys are able to sustain throughout a season. So we're counting on these guys to continue to get better, but also having that experience count.
Here's the reality. Your offensive line is back. The best player in the country is back at wide receiver. Your captain at receiver, Brandon Innes, is back. You've added the number 1 receiver in the country in Chris Henry Jr. There's other guys who are stepping up. You have a returning Heisman finalist at quarterback. Yeah, the running backs are hurt, but you've got a 1,000-yard back who is back in Bo Jackson. So really it just comes down to, fellas, and I'm curious if you guys are in the same spot, it just comes to operationally, what is it going to look like? And what fingerprints can Arthur Smith impose on this Buckeye offense? What are the changes that he makes?
And I think that's the thing you lament the most about not having, also not having Joshua Padilla, bringing in 2 tight ends, so trying to have to figure out that continuity in the spring. You just like to have extra time, but it's not necessarily something you worry about for the fall because that's when the bulk of the work will be done. Anything extra you just like to have, especially with Arthur Smith coming in. And then it's compounded without having Bo Jackson or Isaiah West, they're going to talk Friday. So I'm really interested to hear from both of them and kind of what their perception of spring has been, not being able to put on a helmet and shoulder pads and go out there and run and do all of the things that you would like to have them do with the new offensive coordinator. Because this is still, I think we can all agree, Ryan Day's offense. But Arthur, having a ton of experience in the National Football League, is going to want to make an impression. You just can't really do it when you don't have all of the ingredients yet.
Ryan talked yesterday about in the passing game, because of the injuries on the offensive line and in the running back room, the passing game is way ahead of the running game, it sounds like, right now in spring. And Ryan talked about some of the creativity that Arthur Smith has in the passing game. But when Ryan Day was asked who stood out in the spring, the first thing he mentioned were the tight ends. He mentioned Hunter Welsing and Mason Williams, the 2 transfers, and he mentioned Nate Roberts, who saw a lot of time last year as mostly like a fullback in the backfield in short yardage situations. That tells me if you are someone who wanted a change from the offensive style of last year, as far as less 2 and 3 tight end sets and more 4 and 5 wide receiver sets, you are in for a rude awakening, because that ain't happening. This is going to be a very tight end friendly offense, a lot of 12 and 13 personnel.
Oh yeah, that's fact. My hunch would be that I don't know if you'll go back to that 4 and 5 wide stuff until Julian is in the NFL, and maybe Tavian St. Clair, they get back to some of that read option stuff with the quarterback running. I mean, I haven't seen Tavian play other than in high school 2 years ago, so I'm curious to see what he does in the spring game, to see what type of athlete he is, what type of player he is. When you play relatively small school Ohio high school football, that is a massive jump to playing for Ohio State. So what type of player is he? Will they build it around him? But to your point, no, this is an NFL offense. This is going to look very much there's going to be influences throughout the league, but I'm guessing Julian's going to be under center quite a bit. You're going to see a lot of those double tight ends. I think the biggest impact, what I took from that, Bake, was Arthur Smith's biggest impact is going to be those crossing routes, drag routes from the slot or from the outside, getting it and then running across the field to get north and south. And I don't think the middle of the field is going to be ignored as much. I think you're going to see tight ends running down the seam a lot, and Julian hitting those guys on layered throws, which they're hard throws against zone, but good grief, Julian was a Heisman finalist. He's going to be a first-round NFL draft pick next year at this time. So those are throws he's got to make if he's going to play in the league. He certainly has the talent to do it, so just time to go do it. That would be my guess, would be the biggest impact you'd see, is that you will see a much more heavy use of the tight ends down the seam, and you will see a lot more crossers and stuff using the middle of the field from the receivers. I think Brandon Ennis, the kid from South Lake Carroll who just signed, like, they're going to thrive in this type of offense.
If that is the case, man, I wish Max Clare would have stayed for another year.
Right? I was thinking about that. Like, he was perfect for that. Well, isn't that what Hunter Welsing's going to do?
That's what they
expect him to do, right?
Yeah. But I don't know if he's as prolific.
Yeah, I don't think he's Max Clare.
Clare was, Clare in this offense would have cooked. But, I'm excited to see what it all starts to look like when we get into camp, because I think of Devin McCune as well, with Brandon Ennis, but with Boyd, you got a lot of speed. So just how do they try to open it up while they're not going to go back to just sitting on, I hope they don't go back to sitting on the football. But I wonder, because we're so reactionary, right? And I mean, we as everybody in college football, where you do one thing one year, and then if it doesn't work to your standard, you just completely revert to the other thing. Like, you go from 2025 offense to 2019 offense in the span of an offseason. Like, you can't do that. So I'm wondering where the happy medium exists.
I think what Ryan Day aspires to be at Ohio State is an NFL operation in college from top to bottom. So I think player acquisition, they're trying to build it that way. I think coaching coordinators, obviously there's a type. The last two he's hired have been from the NFL, so there's a type. And I think that you will see Ohio State huddle every play. I think you will see them do those types of things it's a very NFL approach to this. And I think for the immediate health of the operation and for the long-term health of the operation, that's the waters that he's going to continue to navigate is an NFL light operation. And I think he sees value in it in attracting players to come here. And I think he sees value in it in terms of the sustainability. So yeah, I think you're going to see a very similar approach offensively in terms of play clock and all of that we saw last year. I think that's what we've signed up for now.
And the sustainability part of it may be the way to go here, because you're not going to have a wide receiver room like last year where you thought, man, why don't we spread the field and go up tempo and boom, boom, boom. You're probably, with the new era of college football, we've talked about the depth is not going to be the same. So this is probably the NFL model where you have two really good receivers, maybe a nice slot guy, and then everybody else are just backup guys that really aren't going to get in the game much. Maybe that is the way long-term now in the college game.
Yeah, we'll see. Everyone's adjusting to this on the fly. Tuesdays with Tiberi in 2 minutes. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Working your way through that home projects list, that means more flushes, more showers, more fiddling with the thermostat. Trust the pros at the Waterworks with your plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling needs. Our certified pros can repair or replace your air conditioner or furnace. Clogs? Call the Waterworks. Drain issues? Call the Waterworks. Plumbing problems? Call the Waterworks. HVAC breakdowns? Call the Waterworks. The Waterworks. Trusted and certified plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling experts.
There is nothing more meaningful you can do for yourself, your family, and friends than finally getting rid of that pain so they can enjoy that time with you again, especially heading into vacation season. Here, let me help you. It's Bobby Carpenter, and Dr. Tesler and his team at QC Kinetics take care of your pain in the office so you can go right along with your day. It's that easy. So if you say yes to any of these questions, you're the kind of patient QC Kinetics regenerative treatments can help every day. I have consistent pain in my joint, knees, hips, shoulder, back. Pain keeps me from getting a good night's sleep. I'm missing work or saying no to things that I love. I don't want surgery or a long-term recovery. I am at the end of my rope, and taking medications every day is just going to get me through the day. I don't want to do it anymore. So if you want to do that, go check out your free consultation over with my friends at QC Kinetics in Dublin or Gahanna. Call 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. They have offices in Dublin and in Gahanna.
Spring cleaning isn't just for your house, it's for your life. If your job is getting old, it's time to clear the clutter and spring into IT. Go to My Computer Career.
My Computer Career helped me get the skills and certifications I needed to start a new life as an IT professional in months, not years.
Earn the certifications that top employers are looking for right now. Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation to see if it's time to spring into IT. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Bishop and Friends present Tuesdays with Tiberi.
Sponsored by Green & Sons. Find your next Kubota tractor at Green & Sons, located in Mount Sterling and north of Marysville, and online at greenandsons.com.
Hi there, buddy. How did it sit with you seeing the Wolverines win the national title last night?
Well, it's funny because my take tonight at 11 is going to be that if that doesn't serve as motivation to Ohio State, what will? Yeah, I mean, I didn't, let me just say this. Because, when you do pools, you do it to win the money, right? You want to, if you're going to keep score,
theoretically, yeah.
I picked the Wolverines to win it, so I finished in the money. But I want to see Ohio State in the money. And I think Ohio State, it's a crossroads for them. I mean, if Michigan can do it, Ohio State can. It's just going to take a decision. How far do they want to go in,
Well, and the they, of course, is the boosters.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so how willing are the boosters to pay $25, $30 million for a basketball roster?
I mean, it can be done. We saw Michigan do it. We've seen other programs do it. We see it being done in football. Ohio State's all in on football. There's no question about that. Michigan's in on both, football and basketball. It can be done. But the bigger issue is, and this is what's got to get addressed, none of this is sustainable. You can only go so many times to the well, and I keep saying that. They have got to get this figured out. I know when President Carter, before he left, he was on the show. I did an interview with him, and he said, the clock is ticking. We got 2 years to get this figured out. And then, because he said none of it is sustainable. And so the powers that be, I don't know if they're waiting on the government to do it. I don't know who they're waiting on to do this, but they got to figure this out because unregulated free agency and then the money, every year it goes up. You can't. But right now, we are seeing a renaissance for the Big Ten like never before. And, I said it, and some people gave me crap when I said it a year or so ago when I said, just the reason the North won the Civil War, that is why the northern schools, the industrial states, are going to win when it comes to NIL. It's all out there now. And, the oil states, Texas, Oklahoma, they'll be okay. But Nick Saban was right when he said the only way you can get these athletes to leave, the South is if you're paying them. Well, they are paying them now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. And in the SEC, I talked about this earlier today as well. Like there's a Texas A&M, Texas, Oklahoma, those will be fine. LSU will be fine. They get the Raising Cane's money, but a lot of those schools down there don't. They're going to have to piecemeal it together.
Have you ever been to Tuscaloosa?
I have, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
No, they're small towns. I mean, Gainesville's a small town. Athens, Georgia's a small town, and there's not generational wealth down there. There's plenty of money, but not like there is up here.
No.
Up here, it's just a little bit different.
And you don't have the industry. I mean, no offense. Look at Michigan. They're right next to Detroit. You got the auto dealers. You got the whole, there's money printing up there like crazy. And I don't know. I don't know where it all ends, but it has to end. They got to figure this out.
It's funny, though. You hear like coaches complain about like the agents for these kids and stuff. No one is complaining about the agents for coaches. Like the amount of buyouts that were signed up for at LSU on those contracts for those coaches, writing a check for $75 million to make Brian Kelly go away after. I mean, hell, Ross had to write the check for Jimbo.
I know.
At Texas A&M.
I know.
Nobody complains about that, but we're worried about agents with players. And they've got to get away from that, Dommy. They got to get away from trying to limit what a player can make. And instead, they need to call it what it is, which is professional sports, and collectively bargain the money. And if they do that, then they can get their control back. Until they do, it's all just nonsense, though.
Yeah, I don't like any of it. I think all of it is out of control. And we already have one professional league. Did we really need another one? But the genie's out of the bottle. These guys waited too long. They kicked the can too many times, and now this is what we've got. And, congratulations to Michigan. But, you look at what they've been able to do. Obviously, we can debate if they truly were national champions in football. They got it. I don't like the way it happened or whatever. But the Big Ten, you look at the dominance that is the Big Ten when it comes to the revenue-making sports. And, I've heard people say, well, you really can't say UCLA, the women, but they're in the Big Ten now. They won it.
Can.
I mean, what do you mean you can't say it? What conference are they in? They're not in the Pac-10 or 12 or whatever the heck it was. They're in the Big Ten. And the Big Ten, I give the Big Ten credit for at least the latest acquisitions. We can debate on Rutgers and, Maryland, I don't know. But, we can, they wanted to go coast to coast. They've gone coast to coast. But it is a dominant conference. And eventually, when Notre Dame joins it, it's going to be pretty. Notre Dame's going to have to eventually. We're heading to that. And why would they go anywhere other than the Big Ten? What I could see, going forward, Bo, with what the Big Ten's doing, I could see some schools that are in the SEC saying, wait a minute, maybe we should go to the Big Ten. There's no loyalty. What loyalty? What loyalty does a Texas have to the SEC?
No, none. That's a good example that you use there. I think you're going to see Southern schools. I was down in Florida 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you right now, people at Florida State believe they're going to the Big Ten in 2029. They believe it. And a lot of people down there think maybe Miami too. And so you just become such a massive it's going to take real leadership, Dom. You mentioned Ted Carter, and regardless of what happened, there was a feeling that I had, and I think a lot of people had, that he was going to be at the forefront of what was going to come between Ohio State and the Big Ten and the path forward. And for whatever he did in his personal life, on that perspective, I thought his plan made a lot of sense. Now we have new leadership there. Tony Petitti came out of the gate swinging as the commissioner of the Big Ten, but has kind of been neutered a little bit in that the private equity play that he was trying to do didn't work. The 2014 playoff, nobody has a real appetite for. So I'll ask you, who's leading this thing, and who has Ohio State's best interest in mind?
Well, hopefully Ohio State has its best interest, but, we kept talking, and I want you to think about something with what you just said about teams that could be coming in. Mm-hmm. We talked about a super conference, right?
Yeah.
Well, I got news for you. I think the super conference is going to be the Big Ten when they get done with everything. That could be it. That could be the super conference. You get the Miamis. You get the Florida States. You add, if Texas says, hey, you know what, we want to go to the Big Ten. If Oklahoma says, hey, we want to join the Big Ten, that would make sense for Nebraska and all those teams that are. But, we could be witnessing the beginning of a super conference, and it's going to be called the Big Ten.
How is your body handling 80 degrees and then 32?
Ridiculous. Let me tell you something. Doing? I gave Tomer, our new weather guy, Chris Tomer, I gave him the eyebrow the other day. I didn't want to have to do it, but I said, what is going on here? It's 80 degrees. Let me give you an example. Saturday.
Yep.
During the day, it got so hot in my house, we turned the air conditioning on.
That's right.
Then at night, it got so cold, we turned the heater on.
That's right.
That makes no sense. None. Buddy. Can winter be gone, and can we have spring? Not summer. I like it when it's sweater weather, when it's like 50 degrees. Can we have a little spring? No, you've either got, holy smokes, it's, the dew point 75. We got hurricanes coming and all this. Oh, and then here comes an Alberta Clipper. What are we doing?
I got a sunburn on Saturday and was in a winter coat by Sunday night
Makes no
to walk
sense.
the dog.
No,
it's brutal.
and you're a little further north. You're up there near, where,
it was cold, man.
Well, you got your, what do they call that? Lakefront snow or lake effect snow?
That's a little more
wonderful.
north than me, but yes.
Yeah, great. You got that up there for you. You ever been, remember when we were in Buffalo,
Yeah, you don't want to. It's brutal.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You're part of that.
Hey, how's the weather here? I don't know. We're under 50 feet of snow.
And then the boys always want to play golf, and every time you go on, it's like a sponge.
Oh yeah,
it's just a mud pit, But they're jacked up to do it, so I don't say no, so I do it. But it's just a mud pit. Yeah, we just need a little bit of stability here, kids.
I mean, it's crazy.
You excited about this moon mission?
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Now,
That's pretty cool.
where were you in 1969 when we landed on the moon?
Just a twinkle in my mom and dad's eye, buddy.
Yeah.
It's a little bit before my time.
I was 10 years old.
I thought you covered it.
Yeah, I did go to the parade in Wapakoneta when Neil Armstrong came back. They had
Did
a big
you?
Parade. Yeah, I was a 10-year-old boy. Yeah, I went
That's
up to the
awesome.
parade, and I remember that. And the video was so. One small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Remember that?
Do you remember that video when someone was questioning Buzz Aldrin if he actually landed on the moon and he punched him?
Yeah, Buzz
That's
doesn't.
my guy.
Buzz
He's
doesn't
my guy.
play around. Buzz said they saw some stuff up there too.
Yeah, I
know,
liked when John Glenn would come into the studio from time to time. The late great senator. I loved when he would come in and get to see him a little bit.
Yeah, John Glenn was great. I mean, would you go into space?
Yeah, sure.
I would, but I know they're out there.
Aliens?
Come on.
Sure, of course.
You know they're out there.
Of course, yeah.
And there's things on Earth that are real. They're out there.
Yeah, I know you're all worried about Bigfoot.
Well, he's up in your he's up in your quadrant, sir.
You think
there were
cruising around there?
Supposedly 6 confirmed sightings.
6 confirmed sightings.
Supposedly 6 confirmed sightings and some of the video I've seen.
Yeah.
It's a little shaky. It's a little shaky.
It usually is.
But it's not very clear, but clearly there's something.
Well,
clearly there is something besides the shaking video and the murky pictures. I have posted some photos of me and the Bigfoot.
I've seen that. You and I need a little Chopper 10. Back in the old days, we'd get old Captain Terry would take Chopper 10 out and go zoom around and see if we could find something.
Find some of that stuff.
Do some spotting. That's what we could do.
If you don't want to be found, that is a great example of what Bigfoot is. Although there's something to be said because in Northeast Ohio, they're starting to see it up near Youngstown and that stuff. Yeah.
Be careful. All right.
Yep.
Good talking.
Watch what you wish for, Bo.
I am. I'm ready for Bigfoot. Let's get it done. Cohabitate. Let's go. Seems like a nice guy in all your photos.
He might like a cigar.
Yeah. Seems like he's having a great time.
He might like a sausage sandwich. I don't know.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't like a good peppers and sausage sandwich? Would you let me ask you a question. If I gave you a beautiful Italian sausage.
Sure.
With peppers and onions.
Yeah.
Would you put sauerkraut on an Italian sausage?
Would not.
Do you know?
Because that's an Italian sausage. If it was a bratwurst, then I might.
Do you know who does?
Sausage. Adam King?
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah. I mean, that's something he would do. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Oh, my God. That's like putting ketchup on a hot dog.
I don't have a problem with that, but that's a story for another day. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Goodbye.
Little thing or not a thing up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
If you miss a live show, you can catch the podcast. If you miss the podcast, our hosts have volunteered to have dinner with you.
The meatloaf!
The Fan.
File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction or your money back. File in the Credit Karma app.
Sex, intimacy, love. These 3 things are critical to a good relationship, and that's the problem with erectile dysfunction. It often destroys sexual enjoyment and intimacy. It stresses the love between partners, often to the breaking point. This is Jeff for Tri-State Men's Health, and if you're suffering with ED, you likely know exactly what I'm talking about. But I also want you to know that ED doesn't have to impact your relationship anymore. At Tri-State Men's Health, we're ED experts, with our focus on men's sexual health. We've treated tens of thousands of men and have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. I promise you, if you're like most guys, you can get your sex life back. perhaps even performing like you haven't in years. So if ED is affecting you, it's time to get back to better sex, better intimacy, and deeper love. Call us. Just $99 gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com.
Thinking about buying your first home? Now, with Third Federal, you can buy your first home and pay no PMI. Hi, I'm Mark Stefanski, Chairman and CEO of Third Federal. Private mortgage insurance, or PMI, can cost thousands of dollars over the life of your loan. And you may not realize PMI doesn't protect you. It only protects the lender in case of default. But at Third Federal, you can buy a home with just 5% down and no PMI. Plus, first-time home buyers get $750 off a closing cost. So if you're thinking about buying your first home, go for it and visit thirdfederal.com.
Even before you find a home, lock in 5.99% APR, 6.02% on a 30-year fixed-rate purchase mortgage. Visit thirdfederal.com or call 1-800-3rd-FED today. APR reflects 15% down for $350,000 loan amount. Rate requires automatic payment program and is subject to change. Restrictions apply. See conditions for closing cost coupon at thirdfederal.com/FTHB. Equal housing lender.
We're hiring at Don's Garage Doors. No experience? No problem. We provide full training, a brand new van, top-of-the-line tools, a gas card, and steady jobs with weekly pay. This isn't just a job. It's a career with real growth, great pay, and job security. Our team members go from training to 6 figures, and we're ready to help you do the same. Don't wait. Apply now at donsgaragedoors.com.
This is Lieutenant Governor Jim Tressel. If you're driving and take a quick glance at your phone, more can happen than you might think. Because taking your eyes off the road for even just a moment is like driving the entire length of a football field blind. Don't let those few seconds distract you from what's right in front of you. Phones down, eyes up, Ohio.
Have you ever met a man who wins money betting on tennis? Enter Scotty Vegas. Join Scotty and Dave Biddle for On the Money.
Presented by Ohio for Responsible Gambling.
Sunday mornings at 9 on The Fan.
Common Man here for Universal Windows Direct. April's the perfect time to reset your home for the long run, and Universal Windows Direct makes that decision easy. Right now, when you buy 2 windows, you get 2 free, and there's no limit. The more you upgrade, the more you save. Plus 24 months with no payments and no interest. And if you need some more, how about a $500 bonus off your home improvement project? Schedule your free estimate today. Call 614-502-5220, universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Get Eco.
When your drain is clogged, our drain team will clear it for just $93. If we can't clear it, it's free. And we guarantee it will stay clear for at least a year, or we'll clear it again for free.
Get Eco.
Go to geteco.com.
Day 1, the hardest day. The day you hear,
this is a type of blood cancer.
At the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, we are here to help you move past day 1. To learn more and get help on any day, visit LLS.org or call 1-800-955-4572.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. The best facial hair on the air. This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, time for a little thing or not a thing on a Tuesday. Hit it, fellas.
Thing or not a thing.
Sponsored by Billiards Plus. Find your next grill and everything you need for the master griller. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
A recent study from media research firm Moffett-Nathanson suggests the NFL will increase annual media revenue from $10 billion to $16 billion after new deals are struck. That's a $6 billion a year per billion-dollar a year bump that media companies previously spent elsewhere are going to be dedicated to the NFL. Matthew Baloney writes the What I'm Hearing newsletter for Puck and recently suggested that Hollywood could be the most negatively impacted by the NFL's new rights deal. Baloney says, balancing these budgets can be achieved by pulling back spending on other areas like content, like scripted entertainment and films, which likely means less money for Hollywood at a time when so many disruptions are already siphoning money away from Hollywood. How much? We'll see. And obviously there are risks to outlets that reduce their entertainment offerings, namely non-sports fans could tune out or unsubscribe. But even a few billion in annual spend would be felt throughout the entire community, end quote. Thing or not a thing?
You tell me another industry where you're going to get a 50% increase in funding, basically for doing nothing different.
That's it. It's the list.
Just making it available. And I think sometimes, we do this sometimes with millions. People say, well, if you got 1 million, what's the difference? Why not 2? In terms of, like, let's say somebody's in the market for a house and they're looking at, my budget's $1.1 million. $1.1 million? Well, this house is 2.1. What's the big deal? Well, it's a whole nother million. That's the big deal. $6 billion more in revenue split amongst 32 teams. Best business on the planet. Best business on the planet. There's nothing like it.
It really is. And we've talked about this a lot on this program, how the NFL is in a different level, but sports in general. It's what rates, it's what companies want. It's the best bang for their buck. Now, as consumers of the NFL, be ready, because you're going to have games everywhere. I mean, you already do, but that's going to be more Peacock games. That's going to be more Amazon Prime games.
Yep.
That's
Apple.
going to be more Netflix games, Apple TV, Paramount Plus. If there is a streaming service out there, be ready, because your NFL games are coming to it.
ESPN's reporting the Minnesota Vikings will not begin the process of hiring a permanent general manager until after the NFL draft. They fired Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah back in January. Their executive vice president's currently in the interim role. Kevin Seifert of ESPN says the Vikings owner Mark Wolf and his family will be getting advice from a, quote, small, tight group in finding the right person for the job. Thing or not a thing?
So I know Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, who was fired after the season in, I think, a little bit of shocking fashion. He was with the Browns, really good dude. And obviously they held him responsible for some of the quarterback misses that they did, most notably the Sam Darnold not re-signing him. So in terms of them not having a general manager, as far as I know, the rest of that front office remained. So head scouts, assistant general managers, they're all in place. So them, along with Kevin O'Connell and ownership and a vice president, you're probably good when it comes to the draft. One person is going to have the voice to execute the draft. My hunch is O'Connell would have a massive voice in that, and that's fine. And they can get a general manager in the interim. So, or once the draft is over, I should say. I don't think this is a thing. I think that most of the hay is in the barn when it comes to the draft anyway by the time you get to this time of year. And that was all done. Most of the work was done before Adolfo-Mensah was relieved of duties.
I think this is a thing unless Minnesota, as you mentioned, Bo, has someone at the top of the organization that can have final say on this and knows what direction they want to go. I also think it's maybe not fair for your new general manager to come in and not have a draft pick of his own, someone that he wanted to help mold the team. I also don't love the idea of Kevin O'Connell being the guy that is the final say in this, because sometimes, not every time, but sometimes the coaches don't have, they're swayed a little bit by what to do. Instead of maybe making the right choice, they have a certain idea of something and they will maybe not make the right pick there. So I think this is a thing. I don't think it's a smart thing either. Like, teams have general managers for a reason. The draft is a big part of that. And I just don't love it. Hopefully they have a plan where, hey, this is where the buck stops. This is the person that's making the final say regardless.
Speaking of the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks look to be headed towards an ugly divorce with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Veteran NBA reporter Mark Stein reported over the weekend that former Grizzlies head coach Taylor Jenkins has surfaced as the likely prime candidate for the Milwaukee Bucks coaching job if they fire Doc Rivers. Stein further notes that there is indeed growing anticipation that Rivers and the Bucks may be headed for some sort of parting or job restructuring after the season. The 41-year-old Jenkins served as head coach of the Grizzlies from 2019 to 2025. Prior to that, he spent a season as an assistant on the Bucks. Thing or not a thing?
This isn't much of a thing. It might be to Scooney. I mean, Scoon worked for Taylor in Memphis, so that would be, potentially a landing spot for him if that was something that he wanted. I don't know. I mean, he and I have not talked about that. But in terms of Milwaukee, this comes down to, I think, Giannis not wanting to be the bad guy. He should have been traded at the deadline. He should have demanded that them trade him. He didn't. They didn't want the stink on them from trading him, and he didn't want the stink on them for demanding a trade. And so now you're in this sport purgatory. They won a championship with him. They tried to build a second championship contender around him. Remember, they acquired Damian Lillard when he was still in the back end of his prime, and then he blew his Achilles, and that was the end of that. Never really worked. So they're kind of at the end of the line, and the reality is their best chance to rebuild is going to be trading Giannis, not letting him walk. So they probably should have done that at the deadline.
I think this is a little bit of a thing for two reasons. Doc Rivers, I think, is a pretty good coach, but for some reason he seems to wear out his welcome or whatever it wears on players. And he just always ends up finding himself in new spots. Also, Taylor Jenkins, he had 2 bad years with Memphis, but outside of that, he was a pretty good coach. And he's a younger guy, so maybe he could come in and salvage whatever's left of Giannis, or maybe he can come in and say, hey, we need to go ahead and move this guy and get pieces so we can become the team we want to become.
Yeah, it should be a very interesting offseason in the NBA because you'll have the LeBron decision as well. Some of those guys are some old heads. I believe LeBron 41. So interesting to see where all of that goes. Big day in the National Football League today. Off-season workouts began yesterday for the Ravens, begin today for the 9 NFL teams with new coaches. That includes the Cleveland Browns, who will show up for Todd Monken's first volunteer off-season program in Berea. We will get to that coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
We've been your Jackets flagship station since day one. All the goals, all the action, all the memories. Your home for the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Fan, Ohio sports destination.
For over 78 years, our family's been part of your love stories. At Diamond Seller, we offer bigger diamonds, better prices, and timeless designs for every chapter of your life. From your first yes to your forever I do, trust the jeweler who knows diamonds best. Visit Diamond Seller today.
Hey, it's Austin Ward. Listen to The Beat with Austin and Byrne, now powered by the Waterworks and Header Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Get the latest Buckeye news, insights, and unbeatable analysis every day. Don't miss a moment. Stream The Beat with Austin and Byrne, sponsored by the Waterworks and Header Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
James Laurinaitis here for my guys at Green & Sons, the premier Kubota dealership in Central Ohio. Green & Sons has all the Kubotas you need to tackle your land and come out a winner. They have zero-turns, skid steers, tractors from 18 to 171 horsepower, and also utility vehicles. My favorite is my RTV Sidekick. The best thing about Green & Sons is they've been family-owned and operated since 1970, and you will love dealing with the Green family and their winning team. Do what I did and check out Green & Sons located in Mount Sterling and Marysville, or online at greenandsons.com for all your Kubota needs.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
When you saw your heating bills this winter, did you think this is out of control? The problem is your house is leaking money, and the only thing higher than your heating bills are your cooling bills. Steve here from USA Insulation. Let us fix your energy bill problem for good. If you aren't foam insulated, you really aren't insulated. For $99 a month, interest-free, we'll foam your home and help cut those energy bills. 529-2440 or USAinsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
Let me tell you one of the reasons I think we became the largest injury firm in the world, and it's not even close. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My wife and I had a plan early on. In our firm, our lawyers only work on certain types of cases. Our products liability and dangerous drug lawyers only work on those cases. Same for car crashes, workers' compensation, medical malpractice, and insurance disputes. Our thinking is for these lawyers to focus on one area of the law and live it and breathe it. Power comes from knowledge. Many lawyers do everything, jack of all trades. Not us. And we don't charge an hourly rate. You only pay us if we win. If you want to hire us, it's easy. Dial Pound Law on your cell phone, pound 529. or visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer from the comfort of your own home. Let us get to work for you. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law.
Morgan & Morgan, Ohio office located at 600 Vine Street, Cincinnati. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
I'm Leslie from Pella Columbus.
And I'm Wilson from that other window place.
Wilson, we put new windows in a Dublin home last week. You wouldn't believe how much new light was let in. Changed the entire mood of the home.
You don't need fancy windows to change the mood of a room, Leslie. Know what else will do that? Wilson's Wicks, my new candle line. Here, smell this one.
Oh, that's bad.
I call it warm tuna salad. It's not for everyone.
Get the windows that can completely change the look and feel of your home at PellaColumbus.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-791-0000. That's 800-791-0000.
Veterans and active duty service members, when your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to power your progress, so you can give everything you've got, all for just 1 cent down. Whether you want to get the most out of our best-in-class equipment or go all in with free fitness training, our trainers are ready to help you get stronger than ever before. Take your workout to the next level at Planet Fitness. Join the club today for 1 cent down, $15 a month. No commitment. Deal ends Friday, April 10th. You ready? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See Club for details.
Broadcasting live from the McDaniel GM Superstore Studios, driving excellence since 1916. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. WBNS HD1 Columbus.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. Just 5 games left to play for the CBJ, who are 2 points back of Ottawa for the second wildcard spot in the East. Jackets look to halt a 6-game slide, skating in Detroit tonight against the Red Wings at 7. You can hear it on the fan with coverage at 6:30. It's game 1 of a 3-game road trip. Jackets are in Buffalo Thursday. For tonight's rooting interest, Jackets fans need the Lightning to beat the Senators in regulation. In college hoops, the transfer portal's open now through Monday, April 20th. Ohio State's got 4 players in the portal: Gabe Cupps, Colin White, Tayson Chapman, and Devin Royal. Junie Mobley will enter his name into the NBA draft process, but is committed to return next season. In other news, North Carolina is going to hire Nuggets head coach Mike Malone for their coaching vacancy. In baseball, Tuesday, the Guardians host the Royals at 1:10. KC won the series opener Monday. Tonight in Miami, the Reds battle the Marlins in Miami at 6:40. This update sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union, voted best local credit union for the last 8 years by CBUS Top Picks. Visit bmifcu.org to learn more.
The friends are the guests and listeners. Reeser and Baker just work here.
Back to work. Back to work. Everybody, work, 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 work.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Final hour on a Tuesday, big one for the Jackets tonight. We get a preview with Porty coming up in 28 minutes from now as they are in Detroit against the Wings. NFL offseason activities begin this week. The Baltimore Ravens started yesterday. The other 9 NFL teams with new head coaches will begin today, including the Cleveland Browns. If you make a coaching change, you get more time. And so there were 10 coaching changes in the National Football League this season, including 3 in the AFC North. So that means, the Pittsburgh Steelers, for the first time since Mike Tomlin was hired 20-some years, are going to have the ability to have some extra voluntary work and to be Mike McCarthy running it. It means in Cleveland, it will be Todd Monken running it. And in Baltimore, it will be Jesse Minter running it. After, obviously, Harbaugh and Tomlin were in those 2 spots for a very, very long time. You guys you made a comment about the Kevin O'Connell hire, Bake, that I wanted to ask you guys both about, and that is this notion of the general manager. If you were the owner of an NFL team, would you hire the general manager first or the coach?
I'd hire the GM.
I would do the same because I believe that's the best way to have the organization all on the same page.
Would you have the coach answer to the GM then?
Yes.
Or would you have the coach answer to the owner?
My hierarchy would be the coach answers to the GM.
Yep.
I'd like to keep the owner out of it as much as possible with football decisions, knowing that the billionaire could bounce into the room at any time and be like, no, we're picking this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like when the owner is involved a lot, usually that franchise isn't great.
Okay. So this is the one thing that's, and by the way, the NFL this year chose your path. I think there were only 2 instances where the GM and coach were fired. In most of the instances, it was just the coach that was fired. Now, here's the thing that I think is pretty interesting. Let's go back and look at most recent Super Bowl champions, and you tell me where you think the emphasis is in terms of who is more important, the coach or the general manager. Seattle, you'd have to say general manager is more important there, that there's been the consistency. Philly, you'd have to say general manager. Howie Roseman has been most important there. Now, the 2 teams that they lost to would be the opposite. In New England, it would absolutely be it would be Mike Vrabel that was more important than the general manager hire. Mike answers to nobody except ownership. And the same thing would be true in Kansas City, where Andy Reid only answers to ownership. Okay? 2024, Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, coach. San Francisco 49ers lost that game, coach. Previous Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs, coach. Previous Super Bowl, Sean McVay, coach. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, probably quarterback, honestly. Probably Tom Brady.
Yeah, Brady kind of blows any rule out of the water.
He's probably the anomaly, but then you keep going back, guys. Kansas City Chiefs, coach. New England Patriots, Belichick, coach. Eagles, GM. New England coach. Denver, kind of quarterback. I mean, it was John Fox, but it was Peyton Manning was there that stabilized it. New England coach, Seattle coach, Pete Carroll, Baltimore Ravens GM. I think you go back 15, 20 years or so, it's split probably more predominantly for the coach than it is for the GM. That the coach is the one who has a more powerful voice in the organization. But what we saw this year in the coaching changes was the GMs maintained their jobs and the coaches did not. And the reason for that, I think you could probably say, is GMs have a pretty tight relationship in most instances with ownership. They're the ones they talk to all the time. A lot of times they watch games in the same box. So there are relationships there with the GMs that maybe aren't there in the way that they are with coaches. But it's an interesting exercise of which way you would rather do it. If you think of the most consistent teams of the last, who would you say? If you were to say the 6 most consistent teams in the NFL in the last decade, you would say Rams, Niners, Chiefs, Eagles, Buffalo?
Yeah.
Buffalo? Who would be the 6th? Baltimore?
I'd say, yeah, Baltimore.
So in 5 out of 6 of those, it's the coach.
Did you, I kind of missed the first part there. Did you say Steelers? Did you throw them in there?
I didn't, just because they haven't won a playoff game in so long. So I didn't put them as at the top. I'm talking about the top. I'm saying teams that consistently compete for Super Bowls: 49ers, Rams, Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, and then we threw Ravens in there as the 6th. But you could convince me to go another direction if you want to.
That's fair if we're talking Super Bowls.
I would say while more skewed towards coach, if you're asking me the front office structure, the NFL structure, I'm going for right now for the Eagles. If I can have that kind of structure and that kind of consistent success, because with the Chiefs, you got Andy Reid and you got Patrick Mahomes. Kind of an anomaly. With the Patriots, you had Belichick for all of those years, and you had Tom Brady as well. And so we kind of go through, and those 2 exceptions are just that, exceptions. But if you're saying a consistent front office, drafting, developing talent, and winning football games, for me, it's the Eagles. I look to it and I go, let's be that.
So the other 2 that we mentioned, though, were the Rams and the 49ers, and they have consistency in both coach and general manager, but I don't think anybody would argue that Kyle Shanahan is the boss with the 49ers over John Lynch. And I don't think anybody would argue that Sean McVay is the boss over, what's his name, Les Snead with the Rams. Yeah, McVay's running that operation, and Shanahan's running the 49ers. Those 2 make the final decisions on that. Reed would be a final decision guy. Buffalo was McDermott. I mean, he was, but then he lost the power struggle to the GM. So for the longest time, it was McDermott. In Baltimore, you would have thought that it was that certainly Harbaugh was the most powerful voice in that organization, but he was unwilling to make changes on his staff, and so DeCosta stays as the general manager because he's under the Ozzie umbrella. It's an interesting decision in terms of what is most important. For the Cleveland Browns, they viewed it this way, that the general manager was more important than the coach. And so Kevin Stefanski is gone. Andrew Berry stays. Todd Monken said last week at the owners' meeting that he answers to Andrew Berry. Today he's having his first full participation day in Berea in terms of the off-season program. These are voluntary. They're totally voluntary. Does it matter who shows up for them? Yeah, I think it probably does a little bit. I think in an ideal world, you want everybody on your roster to be there. It was a big deal yesterday that Lamar Jackson was in Baltimore. It was a big deal. He according to reports, was somebody that felt like maybe a change was necessary. Ownership called him out, said, you want a voice in some of this? Okay, fine. Then you need to start showing up to all of this stuff when these decisions are made. So Lamar showed up for the first day of voluntary. Who shows up in these places is going to be fascinating to me. Does Josh Allen show up in Buffalo today with a new coach?
Didn't he his wife just gave birth?
Yeah, it was like a week ago or something.
You could probably do that. I don't know if, I would think you would like to have him there. I think it would be more of it would be a bigger story for like him not showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for the first day of a new coach, you'd like him to be there, but he's done so much and has so much going on. I don't know. I'm more for the Browns where Dylan Gabriel's been. Like what are we doing with this? You see Shador content almost every other day.
Yeah.
By Cleveland. For me it's more so who isn't there that kind of gets the attention, less who is.
I would think, Bo, to your point about Josh Allen, where Josh Allen, I think, is probably the unquestioned leader on that Buffalo team, and one of them, I think you would definitely want him there. It's just good. I think it's just better optics for everyone in the team. If Josh Allen is there today, it may not change anything if he isn't.
Yeah.
But I sure think you would like to have him.
Well, and the Browns' equivalent of that is Miles. I mean, he's the equivalent of that. I saw Cam Hayward in Pittsburgh today, new coach. He showed up. I mean, so that's what you're talking about. You're talking about that level of player when there's a coaching change. Does it matter if they're there or not? In the big picture, probably not. Probably not. Unless you're trying to get a new contract or you're trying to do something in that regard. Is any work that's done today, whether it's up in Berea, especially for the defensive players? Now, offensively, for the first time since Stefanski left, this is all new terminology. This is a start from scratch offense. You're going to have to learn all new terminology, all new principles, all of that stuff. And if you listen to Monken, you listen to Andrew Berry, what they consistently say is they're going to have a three-person quarterback competition, that all those guys are viewed as equals. Teresa's point, though, on social media, they have Shador walking into the building today. I didn't see one of Deshaun. Maybe it popped. I don't know. And then who knows about Dylan Gabriel. But that's those things. When you have a coach who is hired to coach your side of the ball, that's why I did the Josh Allen one. I do think it's important that he's there. Yes, he had a child recently. Okay.
He should be there.
He's probably got a night nurse, an au pair, mothers of bride and him. He can sneak away for 4 hours to go to the facility. Trust me. I've had the children. You can do it. There's so many. In the beginning especially, there's so much help. And in the beginning, there's not much you need to do. They just sleep predominantly. You might need help when they're 18 months and they're upwardly mobile and can't communicate clearly. But at this age, it's pretty easy with a newborn. You don't sleep much, but they don't do much either. So, yeah, I do think it's important that Josh Allen's there. I think it was important that Lamar Jackson was there in Baltimore with a new coaching staff. When you're the face of an organization and you have a coaching change, especially if it's on your side of the ball, I do think it's important. The other thing that's going to be really important, it ties in this conversation versus GM and coach, and you guys both went GM, is you better land on these picks. And we're going to have a lot of Buckeyes drafted in this first round, and a lot of them could go in the top 10. One NFL expert thinks they ought to. We will get to all of that coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot has changed in 30 years, but we're still that old shoe that feels worn in and well-loved. And well, we smell a little, but whew, you've accepted that. The Fan.
Looking for TRT that's flexible enough for your lifestyle? Head to Low T Center, the #1 name in TRT. Low T Center offers TRT shots and pills, and you can even have your testosterone shipped to your door. Book now at fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com.
I love Right Pack Credit Union because they're solution driven. I feel valued as a member.
They're focused on the latest technology and the personal connections.
Experience benefits that go beyond banking with Right Pack Credit Union. Just ask our actual members.
I definitely recommend Right Pack to all my family and friends as a credit union of choice.
Visit one of our Columbus area Right Pack Credit Union member centers near you. Based on individual members' experiences, results may vary.
Care Heating and Cooling. Honest technicians, honest pricing. Call 1-800-COOLING.
Grab me a new cross-match bingo from the Ohio Lottery.
Sure thing. You said match bingo cross?
No, the newest $10 scratch-off with prizes up to $500,000.
Yeah.
The ticket's so big, it's only sold at retail counters? The one with over $15 million in prizes? Cross-match bingo.
One cross bingo match coming up.
However you say it, cross-match bingo combines cash word, bingo, and match games all into one for even more fun. Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Play responsibly.
At Baths R Us, we believe home improvement is life improvement. As the Midwest's fastest growing 5-star bathroom remodeler, we're more than just transformations. We're a community driven by a mission to bring your dreams to life. Our installation team, part of the Baths R Us community, isn't just skilled. They're dedicated to respecting your home. Each day, they bring craftsmanship and hustle, turning your dream space, no matter the size, into reality. Together, we embrace a culture that values diversity, collaboration, and giving back. From supporting local projects to fostering a workplace where every voice is valued. Baths R Us is more than a company. It's a community of experts. We're also expanding locations to create more possibilities for homeowners across the Midwest. Wherever you are, you'll find us ready to turn your dreams into something you can see, feel, and enjoy every day. Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel. Plus, loans and no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BATH to schedule your free estimate or go to bathsrus.com. Baths R Us, where dreams soak in.
The Jackets hit the road for a battle with the Red Wings. Live fan coverage starts Tuesday night at 6:30.
Sponsored by Atlas Butler Heating and Cooling.
Proud to be your flagship home of the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Fan.
As the seasons change, it's time to prep your HVAC system with a $49 seasonal tune-up from Columbus Worthington Air. A seasonal tune-up can help save money on your energy bill and help prevent expensive breakdowns. As your local home service experts, everything we do is backed by our exceptional service guarantee. It all adds up to dependable service from neighbors you trust. Columbus Worthington Air and Bryant Heating and Cooling. Whatever it takes. Visit cwaohio.com/radio for details, terms, and conditions. License number 47543.
We plant trees because people need trees. And when planted in the right place, they have great impact. Trees help slow climate change, filter our air and water, foster biodiversity, and strengthen our communities. They create the kind of transformational change the world needs now. April is a month filled with opportunities to care for and plant trees. For planting resources, contact an Ohio ISA certified arborist who can help you learn how to take the best care of your trees. Visit trees4ohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
This is Lieutenant Governor Jim Tressel. If you're driving and take a quick glance at your phone, more can happen than you might think. Because taking your eyes off the road for even just a moment is like driving the entire length of a football field blind. Don't let those few seconds distract you from what's right in front of you. Phones down, eyes up, Ohio.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Plenty of sunshine today, but you'll need that jacket. Highs only getting into the mid to upper 40s across central Ohio. And then for tonight, clear skies with lows into the 20s. Widespread frost develops overnight into Wednesday morning, otherwise turning sunny with daytime highs milder, getting into the mid to low 60s. I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo for The Fan with the 10 weather impact forecast.
Bobby Carpenter demands that you watch Morning Juice on YouTube. If you don't, Tito will move into your house.
Live at 6 a.m. on YouTube and streaming on the Fan app.
When General Sherman marched through Georgia, he was listening to this show.
Use your skills for good, young warrior.
This Bishop and Friends.
I don't know. It feels like it has been forever since the NFL Scouting Combine. Forever. And I saw some images today. We're still a couple of weeks from the NFL Draft. Round 1 will be on April 23rd, so it's 2 weeks from Thursday. We're still a long ways out from the NFL Draft. I did see some images from Pittsburgh that they are building the stage there in Pittsburgh. God bless you. Bake, did you say that you would go to one of these? You would go to an NFL Draft?
It's not on a bucket list or anything, but if it was in the right area, I would probably, because I'm sure they have enough ancillary stuff around that you could be entertained for the weekend.
It's funny when I see it, though. I just see like thousands of people staring at a podium or a microphone and then reacting to it. So who knows? But we're still crazy. Still 2.5 weeks out from the NFL Draft. The consensus is that Ohio State will have 4 players drafted in the top 10 of this draft, which is just a stunning thing. I do think one of the most interesting things here in the last 2.5 weeks is how the dialogue changes around Caleb Downs. Our buddy Jake Trotter, who we have him on every single Wednesday, wrote a piece at ESPN on Caleb Downs and exactly how NFL teams are going to view him, because it is not a position that you normally take this high. But he might be the surest thing in the entire draft. And quite honestly, the other surest thing in this draft might be Sonny Styles. Todd McShay was on Joel Klatt's show and weighed in on Caleb Downs and the impact he believes he could have.
Ohio State had 8 players drafted last year. They're littered throughout this year's draft, and especially at the top. You go back and watch that tape, and I know you have more so than anyone. Who gets the step or 2 steps jump on every play? It's rare. It's rare. Like, normally, like, I'm talking almost every play. He sniffs some. There's a tendency that he's prepared for. There's something that he sees where this isn't like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren playing at Toledo. This is at Ohio State with NFL dudes 2 years in a row. 8 guys drafted from last year, and he was so clearly the most instinctive player on that defense. And I'm looking at teams like the Giants at 5 as you're trying to, with John Harbaugh coming in. My gosh, could Cincinnati use a player like that? Could Dallas use a player like you need someone who's going to come in and raise the bar and make everyone around him better. I can't think of a better guy than Caleb Downs, and right behind him would be Sonny Styles, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, the more you hear people talk so glowingly about these players, the more you're like, good Lord, how did that like, I know you just won the national championship the year before, but it's like, man, could you probably have won another one this year? He mentioned Downs to the Giants at 5. I don't think there's any chance Caleb Downs get to the Bengals at 10, because I think what Todd McShay just said there is so critical. If you are one of these teams that needs a sure thing, that needs a franchise culture changer, needs a bedrock player, a foundational player, are you really going to pass on that kid no matter what position he plays?
Shouldn't.
I just don't think so, guys.
No, it was cool when the NFL was in Columbus for Pro Day. You saw how many coaches, including Giants head coach John Harbaugh, were just talking to Caleb and how much he's gushed in public about Caleb as a player. He's also talked with Arvell and Sonny, and it feels like for them at 5, any of these 3 that's available for them, they're going to take. Just who's there. And who's there could be 1, could be 2, probably won't be all 3. Definitely won't be all 3.
I wouldn't think. No.
If Caleb Downs gets to 10 in the Bengals, I feel like it's one of the steals of the draft history.
Would be the steal of this one.
I think you're right, Reese. If Caleb Downs is still sitting there at number 5, I think John Harbaugh's all over that.
I'll tell you what, if he's sitting there at 6, I'm not sure Cleveland isn't.
I wouldn't hate it.
You pair him with Delpit on the back end, and you sleep well at night for a long time. I mean, that, he's more so than the other 2, just the way that their roster build is. Sonny and Arvell would be a little bit of a tougher thing for them. They don't really need another pass rusher, and they don't need, their linebacker. Schwesinger's awesome, so they don't really need that type of player. But I could see Downs.
I want 6. Carnell, but if it's not Carnell and they took, they took Caleb, fine.
I would never argue with taking who I think is the safest and best player in the draft. I think it'd be really hard for Cleveland not to pick Carnell, though, if he's there at 6.
Well, we will get to that. Before we get to that, though, McShay had some other glowing comments on the Buckeye defenders in this draft, namely Sonny and Arvell. Let's have a listen.
I don't care what he runs. And yeah, it's awesome watching, these long, fast, explosive 40-plus inch vertical jump guys at the combine, but their tape isn't like his. So also you got to wonder too, and I even talking about this, Scott Goldman from AIQ does the intelligence test. Talk to us about Arvell Reese and how he tests different because of the spatial awareness and how he's a perfect guy to have a conversion and wear multiple hats. And I talked to an executive in the league. He said, Sonny Styles, he's like, I promise you, when he's done with football, he's going to run a company. Like, he's going to be a CEO.
These guys will be, to your point, not just, could be your best players on defense. They're going to be the best people in your organization.
So we mentioned Tate. I think conventional wisdom has told us for a month and a half since the combine. And remember, just a precursor, this is silly season. This is all misdirection. Next 2.5 weeks are all misdirection. But one of the things that's happened here in the last week or so has been momentum that Carnell Tate won't get to 6. That, in fact, he could go a lot earlier than that. Daniel Jeremiah echoed that on the Mina Kimes podcast. Let's have a listen.
I think Tate I think he's in play like at 2. I think that conversation, I think he's entertained at 2.
Would you have taken over Love if I had given that choice to you?
No, I have Love, but I mean, there's a lot of Tate supporters out there. There's a lot of people that need a receiver. I'll say this: if Tate was 205 pounds instead of 192 pounds, and he ran 4.42 instead of 4.53, I think there's a real chance he's the second pick in the draft.
I think the thing for the Browns to worry about with Tate is Tennessee at 4. That's the one I would worry about. I don't think that the Jets at 2 would draft a receiver with all of the issues they have and no quarterback and the investment that they already have in Garrett Wilson. I think the same is true of Arizona. They don't have a quarterback at all at the moment. And quite honestly, they could be in a team that could trade down. Maybe they're a Ty Simpson team on a trade down. Maybe they would entertain going up to 1 and trying to get into that mix for Mendoza. Who knows? But they're pretty heavily invested at wide receiver and tight end as well. If you're going to put Cam Ward in a position to succeed, doesn't he need a weapon? Yeah. At some point, he needs a weapon. And maybe that's the one that Jeremiah Love's been mocked there a lot. And I know our buddy Tyvis is saying Brown should take Jeremiah Love at 6.
It's insane. That's an insane take.
And, I mean, before that, he said it should be Mekhi Lemon.
I mean, they need a wide receiver, so that's less insane, actually.
The Jeremiah Love conversation would be around, it'd be similar to the Downs one, right? It would be, we believe he's the best player in this draft.
That would have to how you'd sell it.
Yeah. If you are drafting a running back 6 overall, then they need to be Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson. That's what they need to be. They need to be a weapon, a home run hitting weapon. Some people believe Jeremiah Love is that. We'll see. It would be pretty shocking if they did that. But if Tate is gone at 4 and you're looking for offensive weapons for Todd Monken to play with in his new offense, you got to find him somewhere. And I guess if I were to put this to you guys, if it's reach on a receiver not Tate or draft, and this depends, it's all subjective, what you think of Jeremiah Love, which would you choose?
I'm still reaching on a receiver.
Can I choose option C at that point?
No. Trade now?
Trade back to get a receiver?
Yeah, that's not fun. Give me Mekhi Lemon at 6.
Mekhi Lemon or Jeremiah Love? Bake.
I think I would pivot, and I think I would do my offensive tackle at 6 then.
There are no tackles worthy of 6.
Tackles are gone.
And that is not the game. Joe Thomas flat up says there's nobody left tackle at 6. They're not there.
I think if I'm forced to draft a receiver at 6,
yeah,
and it's not Carnell Tate, I believe I would go
maybe Tyson,
Jordan Tyson, or Denzel Boston, even though that's way high for Boston. Yeah, to me, I don't think the Browns need to be in the running back game here.
Yeah, I think that the way that, and I agree with you, and I don't think they would do it anyway. But the way you would sell it is, we're not in the running back game; we're in the weapon game.
And that's
we
fair.
Need somebody offensively that scares defenses. Right now, we really don't have that. So I think that's how they would sell it if that was the decision that were made.
If you draft Love, does that mean you trade Quinshon Judkins?
No. I mean, look at what happened in Detroit. They had 2. As long as one of them's a home run hitter, If Love's a home run hitter, then it can work. I mean, it worked in Detroit. So you just need one of them to be a home run hitter. This is a massive game for your Columbus Blue Jackets tonight in Detroit. I didn't say must win last week. This is a must win. It's a must win game in Detroit. Porty with a preview coming up next. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
At Great Lakes Hyundai, the savings are so good.
The savings are so good at Great Lakes. But have you seen our inventory? With over 1,000 new Hyundais to choose from, there's no need to settle at glakeshyundai.com. Find a new Palisade with the exact options you need, or a new Tucson in that color you have been seeing around town. Plus, every new Hyundai comes with Hyundai Assurance and America's best warranty. A 10-year, 100,000-mile coverage. At Great Lakes Hyundai, the savings and selection are so good.
Aviators football returns Friday, April 17th, 8 p.m. kickoff. The first 5,000 fans through the gates take home a free team flag. Grab your tickets now at UFLaviators.com. United we fly.
Call the folks at Buckeye, night or day.
The rain is coming soon. How can I prepare? My sump pump's getting really old and floods are not that rare.
You're right to think ahead before you're out of luck. I'll check it out with expert care for $37. Client satisfaction guaranteed. Call 614-683-9911. Call the folks at Buckeye, night or day.
Listen to Financially Fit Radio with Corey Sickles this Saturday morning at 9 on 1460 AM, covering topics like what you need to know about annuities and how to stay healthy and enjoy retirement. Financially Fit Radio this Saturday morning at 9 on 1460 AM.
Pelotonia has proven there are no limits to community impact. We've raised more than $339 million for innovative cancer research at the James at Ohio State. Now, new routes let anyone be part of Ride Weekend. Mountain biking, trail running, and hiking join Gravel Day. And Pelotonia Kids welcomes our youngest riders because there's only one finish line that matters: ending cancer. Register today.
The Fan Poll is sponsored by JT's Pizza and Pub, home of award-winning pizza and 32-ounce Yingling drafts for only $4. Reese's mustache is so nice, it has its own area code. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
I don't, when you play 82, I don't think you could say must win and have much credibility. This one might be that for the Blue Jackets, considering the way that they're playing, considering the stakes, and considering the opponent. So for perspective, we head up to Detroit. Our good buddy Aaron Portzline joining us on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. Porty, must win. You buy it?
You know, I'm with you. I try not to say that unless it's really, really that. This is damn sure oughta win. If you're planning for anything to make sense after this, it's pretty close to that. You're right.
How do we get here? 2 weeks ago on a Thursday, I'm on spring break, and I'm looking at NHL power rankings, and they're 6th in the league, and we're flying high and can't lose.
Yeah.
And it's all just gone to hell in 2 weeks. You're there every step of the way. How did this happen?
I feel like I can say this now. I started doing interviews for a story, Ray Ferraro, Chris Pronger. Hey, pretty good start about this team and their belief that this is going to be a really tough team in the playoffs. That center depth, the way that defense can be mixed and matched and move the puck, the way Jack Greaves is calm and goal. And I'm going to write this story about how good this team, how scary this team could be in the postseason. And then, I've been at this a while. I said, let's watch a couple more games. And it since has gone in the tank. I texted those guys back and said, boys, I can't do this. I didn't want to waste your time. It may be a story. How did we get here? I think it's the bright lights in the big city. I think I know it's not a pass. It doesn't absolve them of anything. I just think for a lot of guys, this has gotten to be too rich. You see some guys that are trying to take on 4 guys at once. You see other guys that just do not want the puck and do not look like themselves right now. I think the injuries, Severson and Olivier, have unraveled them more than they should have. Again, does not absolve them, but they haven't responded well on either end of the ice to those injuries. those guys being out of the lineup. I think it's a lot of things. And I think the confidence really, really plummeted. Maybe some of that started to come back against Winnipeg. It bottomed out in Carolina. Where is it tonight? Detroit's in about the same spot Columbus is in terms of letting this thing fizzle away, maybe even worse. So two fragile teams tonight. What happens when two fragile teams get together? We'll see.
How has the team, I mean, everything was so sunny and rosy with Rick Bowness for the longest time. I mean, just had never seen like that type of immediate flip, and then away we go, and you're on this incredible run. And then the last couple of post games, and obviously he's doing everything he can. He's grasping at straws, find a way to reach him. Really pointed comments post game publicly, and usually when you do that, you've said it behind closed doors a bunch. You don't feel like it's sinking in, so then you say it publicly, and you hope that makes it sink in. Is it?
Yeah, I don't sense a fracture or a disconnect there. I think everything that a coach says publicly is probably has a little sugar sprinkled on it from what the players have heard. I think he's PO'd. I mean, he didn't step off the boat for this. You know, I don't think he expected the 23-4, but there's nothing more frustrating than to see somebody who has the ability to do something just completely clutch up and not be able to get it done. And I'm not sure what the answer is. Oh, you're married too. You know, the two of them, the most ill-advised words in the English language are "calm down." That just does not. No. That has the opposite of. It has the opposite effect. So I don't know how you calm somebody down that's in that, but I think that's what it is. The players won't say it. They don't necessarily agree. The coaches are like, yeah, we'll see. But it just feels like these guys have reached a point, and maybe you do blow through it. It's not that dissimilar from some other seasons that they've had towards the end. Not these extremes, not the 23-4 to this, but clutching up at the end and having to figure out how to do it. They didn't get it done the time before. We'll see if they can do it this time.
Porty, after the Jets game, you have this extended, team chat post game, upwards of 20-plus minutes. Normally, you guys are in there in 5. You rarely see something like that. So there's that happens, and then Bonus talks about, man, we're looking at everything, lines, everything. Yep. What tangibly comes from that tonight?
Well, I think that's what as much as how they play in the results, which, as you mentioned, pretty close to a must-win here. I think that's what you look for. Whenever a coach completely excoriates a team, or whenever there's a players' meeting, you look for their response. And the response isn't always the rah-rah Hollywood-style response that you often expect. I think it's more of, can they sustain this? They had a pretty good first period against Winnipeg. It was decent. They competed. They were fast. They scored early. Can they build upon that? Can they sustain that for 3 periods tonight? The other thing, again, does not absolve them, but they have played a ridiculous amount of hockey. Lots of teams have busy schedules. No one's had a busier schedule than these guys have. I don't think they've handled that well. I don't think this team knows how to play and win when they're not at 100% energy. What could come in handy is this is the only the second time since February 26th that they've had 2 days between games. That's incredible. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. What kind of energy boost do they have for this game tonight? How much does that help them to finally be able to catch their breath?
Porty, we're doing a couple of things here. Number one, and I feel like I should trademark this phrase because I feel like we've been doing this, you and I, for 20 years, like perpetually chasing the 8, right? And that's where we find ourselves again, like trying to find a way to get in and scratch and claw, and then that's your Super Bowl. You get in. So we have that path that's really important. And then there's another one that's kind of a parallel path, which is, okay, let's be a sustained operation from their perspective. Let's be Carolina, where we're at the top of this sport, and I think there's people there that think they have the core or some pieces of the core that can get there. When you think about those two paths and them coinciding, who in that young core are you looking at? And you mentioned use that phrase, the lights are a little bit too bright. Is that happening across the roster, or is that young guys? Are there old guys who need to kind of take care of that first goal before we get to the second goal? Where do you see kind of those two parallel paths playing out here over the last week or so?
Yeah, I think that's part of the maddening aspect of all of this is you've seen Boone Jenner, the captain, take two terrible penalties in that Boston game to help facilitate a 3-0 lead turning into a 4-3 loss. You've seen Charlie Coyle, who could be the captain, one of the most revered guys in the room and across hockey, has the puck on his stick with 11 seconds left with a path. He's got a pathway to clear the puck, waits a second for a better outlet, gets poked off the stick, goal. That is crushing. If these were young players, you could sit them down, a veteran could, and say, that puck's just got to get out, bud. When it's the veteran players doing that, you can't take that penalty, young man. When it's the veteran players doing that, you got, man, I'm not sure who's doing the talking. And that could have been, look, Werenski hasn't been great either. He's been really good by most NHL defenseman standards. He has not been himself. It's all over this lineup right now. Miraculously, the one guy that we're not talking about, that nobody's talking about, is the one who hasn't wavered at all, and that's the goaltender, Jet Greaves. Like, that's incredible. First full NHL season, and he sees all of this playing out in front of him. Everybody's been on edge. That kid has not faltered, and he's really the one thing that's kept him from being truly embarrassed in this stretch right here, although 1-6-1 isn't a great look by any means.
No. Porty, have you had a chance to talk to Rick yet this morning, or are you awaiting doing that?
They're on here now in Detroit. They should be off in probably a half hour. Talked to him yesterday, though.
Okay. What is your sense on what changes will we see, pairings, lines?
Yeah, well, there's only so much you can do in the back end, but up front, I think we're going to see some pretty drastic changes. Okay. Knowing these coaches, we may not even get a look at them this morning because he doesn't have the first change here coming out of a stoppage, so he may want to mix things up and keep it under wraps, but I get the sense that he made it sound yesterday that these are going to be thorough and complete changes up and down the lineup, a brand new look for everybody, maybe as a way to jolt things, maybe just as a way to convince them to play a simple, solid, play together, basic, almost like you do early in the season. Just get to know each other. Just keep it simple. And don't get frazzled. You just hope that some of these guys can get to their games and look as they normally do. I'm thinking of Werenski. I'm thinking of Marchenko. All of these guys, they all seem sort of different players right now, and maybe a new look all over the lineup can help.
Porty, I'll get you out of here on this one. I have not been to a game in Detroit since the 2009 series. That was the old Joe. I've been telling the audience, if you're going to go to a Jackets away game, this one might be worth the drive, providing you could get in and get tickets and have the time and ability and can afford it. Will it be pretty special in that barn tonight?
You know what it will be? It'll be nervous in here. It's special. You'll feel the energy.
Yeah.
It's going to be terribly nervous. I mean, Detroit not long ago had a 12-point lead in the playoffs. They were secure. They were challenging for the lead in the Atlantic, and it has fizzled away here. There's great frustration here. They were down 4-1, came back to tie it Saturday, and lost with less than a minute to go against Minnesota. Does that sound familiar? It's kind of two of the same teams meeting here tonight. So nervousness in the air, agitation in the air should the Blue Jackets score early. I actually think it's really good for the Blue Jackets to be on the road for this one. But it's going to have that air about it, which kind of makes it magical in its own right. It's a special night. The matchup, and what am I calling it? The showdown in Motown. Let's
Sold. I'm in. Let's go, buddy. Ought to win it. They ought to. I'm going to use that as well. Appreciate you, buddy, as always.
My pleasure. Thanks, Bob.
There he is, the great Aaron Portzline on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We'll do a little three things coming up next. Bishop and Friends, right here on the Fan.
File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction or your money back. File in the Credit Karma app.
This Ohio State football spring practice report is brought to you locally on the Fan by Roosters and by your Ohio Kubota dealers.
Ohio State football spring practice report.
The first freshman to remove the black stripe from his helmet this offseason was wide receiver Brock Boyd. The three-star prospect from Southlake, Texas, enters college after setting perennial power Southlake Carroll's all-time receiving record early on in his senior season. Boyd has continued to dazzle this spring and has earned high praise from head coach Ryan Day.
This is somebody who knows how to run a route. He's serious about it. He can play multiple positions, and he's productive. And Dad's receiver coach, and he plays that way. But he's got quick twitch. He can change direction. He's got strong hands. I'm excited to see where his career goes, but he's off to a great start.
Since the tradition began 14 years ago, Boyd is the third fastest freshman to have his black stripe removed, behind only future All-American wide receivers Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. This report was brought to you by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center and by Weber Grills. I'm Tyler Danberg on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Buckeye fans, game day just got hotter. Whether you're parked in the shoe lot or grilling at home, it's not a tailgate without Weber Grill's Traveler Grill. Fires fast, folds flat, fits compact, and delivers championship flavor every time. Burgers, brats, steaks, even rival fans agree. Bring the taste of victory wherever you grill. The Weber Traveler Grill. Tailgate tough. Buckeye proud. Weber Grills. Taste the tradition. Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Toyota gives you the power of choice with more electrified hybrid choices, including the best-selling built-in the USA Camry. Now through May 4th, get 4.99 APR financing on any new 26 Camry, or lease a new well-equipped Camry LE for just $289 a month for 36 months with $36.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS, tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details, or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
When you are a member of Tel-Ohio, your money works harder for you. Lock in 4% APY on a 24-month CD and watch your savings grow with a credit union built for its members. Visit telohio.org to learn more.
Federally insured by NCUA. Membership open to anyone in Ohio. Restrictions apply.
Working your way through that home projects list, that means more flushes, more showers, more fiddling with the thermostat. Trust the pros at the Waterworks with your plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling needs. Our certified pros can repair or replace your air conditioner or furnace. Clogs? Call the Waterworks. Drain issues? Call the Waterworks. Plumbing problems? Call the Waterworks. HVAC breakdowns? Call the Waterworks. The Waterworks. Trusted and certified plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling experts.
Hey there, friends. High Bank isn't just award-winning whiskey. They also make the best vodka in America. With 3 Central Ohio locations serving scratch-made food and craft cocktails, High Bank is perfect for date night, game day, or drinks with friends. Learn more at highbankco.com. Dine, drink, distill at High Bank.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
With friends like these, who needs former college football players? This is Bishop and Friends.
All right, Reese, what do you have on the poll today?
Daily Fan Poll sponsored by JT's Pizza and Pub. It asks, how do you feel about Michigan winning the men's basketball championship? Your options are good for the Big Ten, indifferent, it makes me want to die. 42% say it makes me want to die. 32% say it's good for the Big Ten. 25% say they are indifferent.
All right, there you go. Time for 3 things on a Tuesday. Hit it, fellas.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3 things.
Sponsored by Newman Roofing. For all your roofing, gutter, or siding needs, call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
All right, number one for me, the Masters is this week. Tonight is the Champions Dinner. This is Rory's big Champions Dinners. You'll see some of those images. All of the pomp and circumstance with Augusta is so cool. But one of the other things that's really cool is last week was the drive, chip, putt competition that was held at Augusta National. And there was a teenage golfer from Coshocton, Ohio, by the name of Colton Gress. He competed in the boys 14 and 15 division. He won it. But that in and of itself is worth a mention. But what's really crazy about this kid, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, he swings the club cross-handed. So his left hand, if you're holding a golf club, his left hand is on the bottom, his right hand is on the top. And he piped a 275-yard drive right down the middle using a left-hand low technique that most golfers now associate only with putting. Really cool to watch him swing it. It looks crazy, but the amount of bend, the amount of turn that he gets, I understand it. I mean, it's all right here in Coshocton. Really cool.
I've seen somebody do that before, and the amount of wrist whip you get through that is pretty crazy. Bo, speaking of the Masters, did you see Jay Billis put out his Masters dinner, what it would be?
Yeah, I did. It's pretty simple. Yeah. Caesar salad, like 3 things on it.
Now, was he doing that? I'll make this my first thing. Was he doing that as I'm going to have this after a round, or I'm going to have this before I go golfing?
It's just what he said he would have.
I think it was his Masters dinner, wasn't it?
That?
It was Caesar salad, miso cod, or go ahead.
Yeah, I've got it right here. The first course, Caesar salad, which normally they have multiple options there, like appetizer type things.
No apps, yeah.
A tomahawk ribeye or miso black cod served with truffle fries and roasted cauliflower. A chocolate brownie with vanilla bean ice cream.
Pretty simple. Yeah.
It is very simple.
Yeah, but it works.
You know what I had? We'll just stay there just for a second. I had on Easter dinner, the restaurant we were at served ribeye cap. And they had a limited amount of it. I mean, that's my favorite part of a ribeye anyway.
Yeah.
But to just get a plate full of ribeye cap, what a win. I think it's you, Bick.
Oh,
or did you do Billis?
Reese went on that. That's right. That's right. Bo, you talked to Porty about the lines. This is from Jeff Swoboda up in Detroit right now. Sillinger, Fantilli, Johnson. Then we've got Marchenko, Coyle, Garland, Marchment, Jenner, Heinen, Delbel, Belouz, Monahan, and Lundestrom. Now, it sounds like Miles Wood is maybe dealing with a little bit of an illness, so he may mix in there somewhere or not, but definitely put him in a blender for tonight's game. As you said, I don't know if it's technically a must-win, but it's pretty huge.
Did you say the top line was Sillinger, Johnson, and Fantilli?
Yeah, Sillinger, Fantilli, and Johnson.
Has that ever played?
Maybe once. Maybe.
Wow. No, that's an attention getter. Number 2 for me, speaking of attention getters, I cannot stand, I'm guessing most of this comes from social media, but all of these little nonsensical things that they target little kids with. So right now, there's this thing that Bootsy and his little buddies are obsessed with called Neatos. It's essentially like a fidgety ball of blob that they try to collect, and then they get sold out throughout the country, and they create this absurd demand, and then it goes away in a week. I'm telling you, it is a block of like jelly that you just can move with. And somehow that's a thing. And it happens. About every 6 months, there's a new one that comes up. This stupid nonsense that these kids get sucked into, and then I end up seeing delivered by Amazon every other day.
Is it like those Labubus?
It's exactly like those stupid Labubus. It's just stupid.
You don't hear about those. Congratulations to Adam H. He won the Bishop and Friends Bracket Challenge. Out of 271 brackets, his was first. He picked the Michigan Wolverines to win the national championship. They did. Jensen Lewis finished second.
That's incredible, J. Lou.
Again, out of 271 entries, our nonsense bracket finished 260th.
So, we beat 10.
Not last.
We beat 10.
Good job out of J. Lou for joining our bracket challenge.
Jumping in and rocking it, man.
So this morning, things were a little slower after the late night with the NCAA tournament. So I got in the shower a little later than normal. So I was trying to expedite things and go a little faster. Somehow through all of this, I ended up getting a glob of soap go right into my mouth as I inhaled and into my throat. and I thought I was going to die. I was coughing so bad for about 5 or 10 minutes. It's still bothering me a little bit, but it probably took me about an hour to totally get over it. Ridiculous.
Is that what you were doing in your mouth? Like you still were, it's still in there.
Yeah,
Can't get rid of it.
I can still feel it a little bit. It hasn't really bothered me during the show, but now I understand why my dad washed my mouth out with soap or made me brush my teeth with it when I would use bad words when I was little. It's pretty effective.
It's quite effective. Finally, number 3 for me tonight. And there's many good things about AAU, the competition, the physicality. There's a billion bad things, which we've talked about. NBC got his AAU schedule for this weekend, of which we're going to try to do around lacrosse games, and I know how hard all of that is. 35 minutes away. He plays Friday night at 9:30 and then Saturday morning at 9:10 a.m. The entrance fee to get in, $40 a person. Welcome to AAU, kids.
Where does that go?
Into the pockets of the people putting the tournament on. That's who it goes into.
Speaking of lining your pockets, my third thing, they've just made stress balls popular for kids.
That's all it is.
That's what Neatos are.
Yep, that's all it is. That's exactly what it is.
It's the peanut guy with the head, nose, and ears that if you squeeze, they exit the stress ball.
That's right. Yep, that's it.
It's a good job out of them.
That's all it
is.
Yep.
Final thing for me, Rothman and Ice are absolutely loaded up on a Tuesday here. Dave Biddle at 12:30. Tyvis, 1:30. The General, Bob Carpenter at 2, and Adam Jardy at 2:30. That's a big Tuesday show.
A 4-guester for the fellas. Enjoy that. We are back tomorrow on a First Friday. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Matty Ice has a large tattoo on his calf of LeBron eating a lion. I have nothing else to say.